Welcome, everyone, to the Alan Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Wow, Grumpy. That's all I'm going to say is wow. It felt like a lifetime since our last podcast. I'm not sure if it's just because the Islanders have been playing pretty woeful hockey or what necessarily the deal is, Grumpy Old Man. But man, oh man, I know we had 3 games jam-packed in there since our last podcast, but we have not looked good. We have not been playing good hockey as of late.
See, that's why I like to spread it out. See, I don't like doing 3 games in one day, especially on a Sunday. All right, we've been through this before.
Oh,
TJ,
goodness. Here you go again, Grump.
TJ, the taskmaster that he is, says, too bad, Grumpy Old Man. I don't care about your life. I just want to make sure that we do these podcasts when I want to do them. I'm a dictator, and that's just the way it is. So
That's how I do it.
But at least we won today. That's all I can say is at least we won today. That's about as good as I could say. And Sorokin was phenomenal.
I was about to say, if there's 2 things I take away from this game, Sorokin was outstanding, an unbelievable shutout. He seems to absolutely own the Philadelphia Flyers. What is he now, 5-0-1 with a gaudy save percentage and a gaudy goals against average against the Flyers?
Yeah, I just think he's getting better every game. He's really comfortable in net now. Seems like he's taking care of a lot of issues that he had at the beginning of the season, and he's much more comfortable in net. And I don't want to say he's the go-to guy now, but I certainly feel that he should be.
Oh, goodness gracious. And, we will definitely mention and talk a little bit about Noah Dobson being benched today in favor there of Coburn. So I'm sure we're going to touch on that, Grumpy Old Man. We also have some interesting stats. I was crunching some numbers that I think it's important to bring up, and I've got a few different nuances there to it. But again, Grump, before we dive too deep into the podcast, we have to go ahead and read an ad there by our sponsors, and let's hope and pray I don't butcher it too badly this time.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It's DraftKings. Could we bet on the chances that you would screw up on one of their ads? Because I don't know what the odds are, but I'd say it's almost even money at this point. So how much would I have to put down to make money? I mean, if you actually get it right, I got to think those odds are pretty high. No.
I was about to say, it's got to have a big return, right? If I go ahead and go through the entire read without having a mess up or mistake, yeah, I'd say that your payback would be substantial, Grumpy Old Man. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and jump into the ad. It's this weekend's UFC.
You already messed it up right off the get-go. Go ahead, continue. Now the pressure's off.
This weekend's UFC fight 261 is sure to be a can't-miss event, and every punch, kick, and knockout means much more with DraftKings lineups on the line. And DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of UFC, is giving you a shot at huge cash prizes. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all players a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. If you haven't tried it yet, Fantasy MMA is easy to play. Just pick 6 fighters, stay under the salary cap, and pile up the points for advances, takedowns, and much more. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to compete at shots for millions of dollars in total prizes. Plus, don't forget about basketball and hockey, where DraftKings has even more money up for grabs throughout the week. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the DraftKings app now and use a promo code THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes throughout the week. Again, that promo code is THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details, Grumpy Old Man.
Well, like I said, after you screw up 1 second into the advertisement, and I'm going to have like one of those little buzzers whenever you screw up. So if you don't want to hear that, make sure that you do it the right way, right from the get-go. But it was nice and smooth after the fact.
Oh, well, thank you, Grump. I was looking for that approval for you to go ahead and get me, Grump. So I'm that's going to make my night here.
Great.
I'll tell you. We didn't look great, though, tonight. Sorokin was unbelievable. Matt Barzal had a sluggish night. And the thing that shocked me the most was that Scott Mayfield didn't sit.
I
We
don't
have
understand.
Noah Dobson sitting, and I get it. Scott Mayfield plays the most penalty kill minutes out of any defenseman. I do understand that, but you're a team that's struggling to score. You're a team that's struggling on the power play, and your remedy for this is to bench one of the guys who are a defensive quarterback there on the power play, and go ahead and continue to dress Scott Mayfield, who has been woeful as of recent.
Well, recently Dobson has not been on the power play though. It's been Letty and then Pulak up top. So in the last number of games, he's been taken off of that duty. He maybe got a couple of sporadic shifts on the power play, but he's not been on the power play for the most part. It just goes back. It's the same old song and dance, right? Same old song and dance, my friends.
You're breaking out the song already, Grump.
Yeah, why not? That was the Aerosmith version. Steven Tyler. Do you know who Steven Tyler is? No, that's okay. We'll just move on.
I've heard of Steven Tyler before, Grumpy. Come on now. Give me a little bit more credit.
What's funny? I was walking in the neighborhood today, and I had on some music, some disco music, which, do you even know what disco music is?
I'm thinking 80s. Is that correct? The right time to think is 80s music?
Do you know what it is, though?
Like Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. Sorry,
no, it's Saturday Night Fever. It's Saturday Night Fever
with like John Travolta and everything like that. Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar.
It was dance music in the 70s and into the 80s, but mostly it was a 70s thing. And those are good walking tunes, though. They really are. Back to the point. Noah Dobson, right? Didn't you expect? And it's funny, we talked with Tommy Baffey on Wednesday, and who's the one guy who I suggested, Barry Trotz is probably going to bench. I'm going to get pissed. Noah Dobson. I just don't understand it, right? If you wanted to give somebody a rest, he's a left-handed defenseman, first of all, right? So he gets inserted into line. Who should he sit for? Somebody on the left-hand side, right? Andy Green, Nick Letty. Nope, we sit Noah Dobson. Why? Well, you know why, ladies and gentlemen, because he's not old enough to be given full responsibility.
I think you missed it up there. Right now, your left-hand defenseman there, Letty, or no, it's Mayfield, Dobson.
Mayfield's a righty. The lefties were Green, Letty, and Pellick. Those are your three lefties. But what does he do? He sits a righty, makes Andy Green play the offside. And I didn't think Colburn looked good today. He was caught out of position a number of times. I mean, to me, if you want to give somebody a rest, why not? And you don't care what position they play. Why not Scott Mayfield? And everyone knows I'm a huge Scott Mayfield fan, but he's been really, really awful the last number of games. He single-handedly lost that first Boston game for us earlier in the week. Single-handedly on just boneheaded plays. Does he get ripped by Barry Trotz? Not by name. Absolutely not. Because there's only one guy on this team who gets ripped by name. We know who he is.
Who is that, Grumpy?
Well, I don't know. Number 13, perhaps.
Is it he who should not be named?
He who should not be named. Voldemort. That's right. Matter of fact, maybe that'll be Matt Barzell's nickname is Voldemort. Lord Voldemort.
Lord Voldemort. I'll tell you, we definitely have a lot of different nuances there for players' names. It's funny also, Tommy Baffey, hold on real quick. Tom Baffey also mentioned something else there on the podcast and live stream last Wednesday. He said that something you need to pay attention for, Islander fans, is Jean-Gabriel Pageau's ability to shoot those crossbody shots. And when he's playing there on the wing, we saw an excellent attempt and almost converted there for a goal on a similar situation when he was streaking down in the left wing position. He just missed a net, but man, oh man, it's something you don't really think too much about. That Tommy really kind of opened my eyes to. Man, he really does have that outstanding crossbody shot there when the goalies go ahead and move from side to side, post to post.
Very astute observation. To me, you look at the lines tonight, though, right? We take a guy who was previously on the first line. Where does he play now? Fourth line. We have a guy who wasn't good enough to play the last couple of games. Where do we put him? Right back on that first line. If anyone watched today, Matt Barzell looks sluggish. Well, you know what? He's only playing with Jordan Eberle. How many times did you see today where those two guys are in the offensive zone, and I'm yelling at TV? I said, where the hell is your third winger? And then the puck goes down the other end. Where is it? He's behind the two defensive players. What the hell is he out there for? Why is he out there? Why is he out there? Can you tell me why he's out there? If you don't want to score, hey, when was the last time we actually scored a goal? Because today we didn't score. It was an own goal. So that's not even a goal. What was it? 8 periods ago? That's the last time we scored a goal? And that was because of Lord Voldemort making a beautiful pass.
When you're talking about somebody who is late there to action, late there to zone entry, who are you talking about, grumpy old man? Who is that third winger you're talking about in the first line?
Lollipop. Lollipop somehow is back on the first line.
Leo Komarov, Mr. Lollipop himself.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And Michael Del Cole, he's another zero. Where do we put him? Second line. Second line. Here's the thing, right? But we did something. Hey, maybe it should work. We'll put Pajot back together with Wallstrom and Bavillier. Well, you know what, Barry? I hate to tell you, when something's work, you don't fix it, because guess what? When you try to put it back together again, maybe it won't work anymore. And that's what you saw today. We were abominable today. I'm glad we got the 2 points. Thank goodness. Ilya Sorokin, those points are all you, all day long. He made so many point-blank saves. I mean, we're still having defensive breakdowns in the zone. Even Pierre Maguire was saying, gosh, we're not moving our feet. You want to know why we don't move our feet? Because we're an old freaking team who's hit that wall during the season. That's why.
Well, a lot to unpack there, Grump, and I have a few points to make. We're going to have to go point by point because for you, you can rattle off things left and right. We have to go point by point. We do. Number one, I was interested because our power play has been absolutely hideous as of late. I mean, hideous. So I went ahead and grumpy old man, I went ahead and crunched some numbers. So since the beginning of March, our first game there was on March the 2nd, I believe. We have played 24 games, including tonight's game. Over that time period, through the beginning of March, we are 6 for 63 on the power play. That is sitting at a 9.52% conversion rate. Yikes, yikes, yikes. You want to talk about horrible production. And I know there are going to be people out there saying, well, TJ, it's because we've lost Anders Lee. Yeah, I'm sure that has definitely negatively impacted our power play, but it's also worth taking into account that over that time period, Anders Lee did play 6 of those games. 6 of those 24 games, Anders Lee was present. And again, like the 6th game, he did get injured, but he was there for at least 20 some odd percent. And they only had 1 goal over that time period. I'm just saying as a whole, the power play has been lost. It's been lost out there. They always say, right, grumpy old man, you want the magic number to be 100%. You want it when you add up your power play percentage and you add up your penalty kill, you want it to be right there around 100%. I could tell you over the last 2 months, our power play is sitting right now at a 9.5%. I'm like, we're not having a penalty kill clip of 91% over that time period.
I mean, if your power play is, at least when I was younger growing up, if you're 1 out of 5, that was a pretty good power play percentage. I know some teams are higher, some teams are a little bit lower, but under 10% is unacceptable. But you know what? That's what happens when you trade away a Devon Taves, who was your power play quarterback, for 2 second-round picks, when you just give him away because we mismanaged the cap, right? And then what happens? Noah Dobson was successful at the beginning of the year. He gets COVID. All of a sudden, he's not out there on the power play anymore. You got Nick Leddy, who won't shoot the puck. You got Ryan Pulak, who'll shoot the puck, but who the heck knows where it's going? And you had, the guy on the right wing, him and Leddy like to play with one another along the boards. No threat to shoot the puck. That's why our numbers are down. You take all off the power play. I mean, everything contributes.
I've got to stop you because you mentioned, hey, we trade away Devon Taves. All right, our power play was woeful last season also, okay, even with Devon Taves there. So it's worth taking that into account also, grumpy old man. I also do want to piggyback back to another point you made. Noah Dobson hasn't been the same since getting COVID. He hasn't. And I understand maybe that's the reason why they're giving him a day off, because they want him to go ahead and get his legs about him. They want to give him extra time off. They want to let him recover. He just has not looked the same since getting COVID. I don't know if that's just maybe he's, having a little bit of a slower time period there in his, real true rookie season, or what the deal is there. He just hasn't looked the same since getting COVID. So maybe that's the reason why they sat him. If I'm thinking production-wise, right, we're a team that's struggling scoring right now. We're a team that's struggling mightily on the power play. What might help that? Definitely not Scott Mayfield. Maybe Noah Dobson does. Again, Coburn didn't look anything special tonight. He didn't. He's just a depth defenseman. What I don't want to see going forward is Noah Dobson continuing to sit on the bench. I don't think that's going to be the case. I hope this is just a one-off type of ideal or one-off type of issue.
I agree with you there. I think it's only a one-off, but I'm like, you have so many other guys who have even okay. Let's say Noah Dobson hasn't been as good since coming back from COVID. Okay, and I don't think. I mean, I pointed that out. I didn't think he's looked like he did when he went off. There are other defensemen who've looked way worse, who continue to get that ice time. And to me, it's all the fact they're over 30 years old or right at the cusp of that 30-year-old mark. Here's the thing. He doesn't want to play young guys. He just doesn't want to do it. Barry just does not want to play any of the young players unless he's forced to, right? So look what he does today. We could, I realize he doesn't like Kiefer Bellows, right? We know that. Doesn't like Kiefer Bellows. But do you really think putting Leo Komarov back on the first line? I mean, I just don't understand it. Why not?
Grump, I got to put a full stop on you. Do you not remember the article written by Arthur Staple about a few weeks ago how Leo Komarov was a fearless leader on that first line? He brought stability to the first line. I just want you to go back and read it because that's going to solve all the questions you have. That's going to answer all of them. Grumpy,
Let me tell you something.
A supreme first line left winger.
If I want to know what the Islanders want you to believe, then I'll read Arthur Staple or Andrew Gross or any of the other hacks who pretend that they actually cover the Islanders.
I've got to stop you. Speak about the Islanders cartel media, grumpy old man.
They're all the same.
Well, there's something that happened. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. Maybe it was Friday evening when we played the Bruins. The Thursday game, the Islanders were riddled with penalties. They just couldn't stay out of the box. And there was one particular instance where Josh Bailey, he doesn't take a lot of penalties, but he wasn't moving his feet. He just stuck his stick in between I can't remember whose skates there, the Boston Bruins, and he trips up and falls. And you see Barry Trotz complaining about it, and they make sure to pan over to it. And Butch is like, that's such a weak call. You can't go ahead and call that. I mean, that was a weak call there for the tripping penalty. It looked pretty cut and dry there to me. He sticks his skate in between, the players, or he sticks his stick in between the player's skates, and it goes ahead and impedes him from being able to actually stride forward. So it looked pretty cut and dry. Matt Barzal then takes a penalty the day after. As we just heard Butch explain away every single penalty the night before. Brock Nelson's high sticking. Well, somebody went ahead and moved the puck illegally. It should have been, a penalty on that side. That would have completely negated the double minor we got from Brock Nelson's penalty. And, he complained away there that Cal Clutterbuck penalty as well. Matt Barzal has his stick up around the neck. I can't remember who it is on the Boston Bruins. It was a relatively questionable call. Definitely could have been called. No issue with it. But Butch starts complaining about, you can't do this. You lead the team in penalties. I'm just thinking to myself, man, oh man, it's crazy how you can explain away certain penalties, blatant penalties that are no-nos in today's game. But, if certain players commit it, we don't help there. I did find that funny, and I made sure to post about it. But it's Butch pushing the Islanders cartel media there, Grump.
Because that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe the fake news that Matt Barzal's reckless out there, where all these other clowns who are not even in his, they don't even sniff the air that he sniffs his talent on this team. Not even close. And the Josh Bailey one, you know what he should have said if it was Matt Barzal? You know what he would have said? He would have said, let's say this is Matt Barzal, who's just standing still at center ice as the guy's racing by and sticks his stick. Well, you got to move your feet, Matt Barzal. Instead, he makes excuses for Bailey, who the best thing he's done in the last 3 games was get injured. Okay, thank goodness.
Stop. I gotta have you full stop. I will tell you one thing. To be fair and honest, though, there is no way the star player on your team should lead your team in penalty minutes unless he's, an enforcer type or one of those power forward type of players. He should not lead your team in penalty minutes. To be fair and honest, I definitely do acknowledge that point. But I find it odd that he'll explain away some penalties saying, oh, that's completely justified. That's a soft call. That's a this, that's a that. Matt Barzal never should have stick up around a player's throat, neck. But, it was definitely a sell job by the Bruins. I can't remember who it was originally. In the same token, it's funny to see certain situations where he'll explain away penalties and others not so much. That being said, Matt Barzal should not lead our team in penalties. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I could care less that he leads the team in penalties. I could care less, honestly. Somebody's going to lead the team in penalties. You know what? He also leads us in scoring. I mean, he leads us in every offensive category, right?
He leads us in scoring. He leads us in penalties drawn. He leads us in assists. He leads us in a lot of categories. I get that. I'm just saying, though, that's not one of those items you want as a star player on your team to lead it. So I understand Butch's point. I'm just saying, in the same token, though, I hate how people explain away certain penalties that are blatant penalties, but when a certain member commits it just because he's been committing a lot of penalties, I won't give him any leeway on it. And every single opportunity, every single example, and every single penalty should be looked at independently. That's all I'm saying.
Here's the thing. You want to know why people say that? Because they're fed the same line of crap by every single person who supposedly reports on the team. They don't report on the team. They're scared of Lou Lamoriello. They're petrified of him. They're like this. Lamoriello treats the media like Belichick does up in Boston, right? They're scared to ask questions of him too, because he just shuts them down. And Lamoriello's the same way. He just shuts them down. You speak out against me, no contact for you. No soup for you. That's the way it is.
Seinfeld reference.
That's right. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Okay. I mean, it's the same thing over and over. All you people, open your eyes and watch. Brock Nelson in the offensive zone takes a 4-minute penalty, right? For a high stick. Do you hear boo about it?
It led to a goal against, didn't it?
Yeah. Do you hear it? Is there a boo about it? Nope. It's just dismissed. Trying to make an excuse for the king of the secondary assist standing still at center ice and jamming his stick. I couldn't believe what he said. He's like, well, it should have been penalty because he was just trying to make a hockey play. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. That's just ignorant, Butch. Stop doing it. You know what? I know they pay your bills. I understand that. But have a little bit of integrity. Just a smidge. Just a little bit.
Well, I do find it funny. And again, like, some people are given leeway, some people aren't. And again, it's a point we've brought up multiple times. It's a point I don't want to hit on too much more. But it did happen again here just recently. When it does happen, I feel like bringing it up because, again, it further proves that the issue that we've been noticing there for a while. That also being said, seems like Taylor Hall is really starting to pick up his play. Taylor Hall, I mean, like now, so far 4 games there for the Bruins. 2 goals against us, matched already the season production there in both games against us. You hate to see it. 4 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist. I thought he looked okay. It wasn't like the Taylor Hall we saw there on the Buffalo Sabres, that's for certain.
That's what happens when good players on bad teams go to a good team. That's what happens. They perform. Anthony Mantha, 4 goals in 4 games for Washington. Then you got the 2 ham and eggers that we picked up, two pieces of scrap off of the New Jersey Devils, right?
Anthony Mantha's also had an assist during that time period. He's averaging over a point a game right now, a clip there with the Washington Capitals so far.
Hey, you give up a first-round pick. How old is Mantha? 26? 27? Young guy, right?
He's 26 years old.
Huh. You know what? Maybe that's what you do when you give up first-round picks. You pick up guys who are going to be with your team for a while.
Okay, well, I'm not going to – you can't cherry-pick that. I'm not going to let you cherry-pick that. Come on now. They gave up Jacob Verana. They gave up multiple different picks. They gave up a lot of draft capital for Anthony Mantha. I'm not going to let you cherry-pick that.
Okay.
If it was a first-round pick for Anthony Mantha straight up. That would be disingenuous. Come on now, Grump.
We give a first-round pick and a 4th-round pick for a couple of Ricky rentals. That's what we did. That's all we did. Ricky rental. I mean, do you want to sign Palmieri back? He looks lost out there on the ice. I mean, this is the first time he's ever had skates? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Well, here's something. I have an interesting theory. Oh, I hope it's not a trend. I really hope it's not. But I guess it would speak to a little bit of the Islander fan base getting a little nervous and worrying. And it wouldn't be the first time we've had a little bit of our team's been, I wouldn't say even derailed, disheveled probably from the current path that we were on. Again, last year, before the COVID bubble happened, we won 2 out of our last 13 games. And after the trade deadline, I think we had lost all 7 games. So we had struggled mightily. And I remember the games we won, and thank you there for this, Phil. The games we won there were against the Detroit Red Wings as well as the San Jose Sharks. So we had struggled mightily around this time period last year. And it seems like we are struggling, even though we got the win, and it's important to get 2 points. I love when we get 2 points. It was not an impressive win. I mean, we looked like we were the ice was tilted in the other direction there for the first 40 minutes. And the third period, it looked like we bounced back. But it was not a good game by the Islanders. And you really don't want to see these struggles towards the end of the season continue. It happened last year. I don't want to see that trend continue. I mean, if we didn't score that goal there in overtime, I think we win in shootout. Sorokin's unbelievable in shootout, but that was not a game where we look impressive.
No. I mean, when was the last time we looked good? I can't even remember. It's been quite a while. Boston, watch out for Boston. I'm going to tell you, Boston will overtake us. I don't know when. It'll happen in the next couple of weeks. Boston, it seemed like the moves that look at Riley. They pick up Riley. He scored for them from the defensive end. All these other teams, their guys are contributing. Our guys, not so much. I mean, we don't score. Are we really going to repeat that mantra? We can't score.
I will say that our team and our lineup is better when we have Josh Bailey and Cal Clutterbuck as opposed to Leo Komarov and Michael Del Cole. So again, it is worth noting that. I mean, as much as Islander fans may love or hate Josh Bailey, whatever you think the worth is of Cal Clutterbuck, having those two players in the lineup significantly helps, and it's definitely a step up rather than having Leo Komarov and Michael Del Cole in the lineup. So, I mean, it is worth taking that into account.
I will give you that. But are they goal scorers? Nope. They don't score goals. They don't even create goals. They don't. This was happening before they got injured. Okay? It's not like it just, these guys got injured, all of a sudden we can't score. No. It's just we don't score because we're not offensively talented enough. We have to create off of other teams' mistakes. And with the exception of Voldemort. He's the only one that can create for this team.
I can't get over that. Who the hell would have ever thought that you have given the name Matt Barzal Voldemort? I love it. I mean, like at one time period, we're just going to have every single person is not going to be called by their actual name. I guess the closest you could say is you call Brock Nelson Croc, which is a load of crock. So I'll tell you that much. You give up some interesting nicknames, Grumpy Old Man.
But I don't have a nickname for Anthony Beauvillier. There's a lot of guys I don't have nicknames for.
Well, you've got a task now for yourself, Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah, but most of the guys don't do anything worthy of a nickname, honestly. And Voldemort, he's Voldemort because the Islanders organization treats him like he's an evil wizard. All I got to say is it's interesting to hear. Now, Brendan Burke called the game tonight with Pierre Maguire. And Pierre Maguire was absolutely mesmerized by watching Matt Barzal play. Did Brendan Burke bring up all the Islander talking points about Matt Barzal? Nope. Because you want something? What purpose does it serve? Because you know what? Pierre Maguire would have laughed him out of the building. That's why he didn't bring it up. Or maybe because he was working for NBC Sports tonight, he didn't feel he had to push the company line.
Now, clarify a little bit. What do you mean by didn't bring up any of the Islanders talking points? I want to know what you meant.
The penalties, the reckless play, the same crap we hear from Barry.
Trust me. Pierre brought up the fact that Matt Barzal was turning over the puck willy-nilly over and over again. And again, it wasn't just him. There were multiple Islanders. Jordan Eberle. Didn't matter who it was. Andy Green. Islanders were giving up a puck like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like dropping off like a kid that you didn't want there at the fire station. What was that popular back in like the 20s or 30s? They drop kids off at the fire station.
How the hell would I know?
I don't know, Grumpy Old Man. I was hoping you'd be able to give me some historical aspect to it. I knew it used to be a popular thing. If you didn't want your child, you gave birth to him, you dropped them off at the fire station.
Where are you from?
Giving a puck away like they're giving kids at the fire station. I don't know, Grumpy. It didn't connect. Okay, the effort's there. Give me a break.
Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. But here's what Pierre Maguire didn't do. Because he did. When somebody made a mistake, he actually called out everyone who made mistakes. He called out a mistake, Letty, and they actually came back from commercial and showed it again. Do you think they would have done that on the Islander broadcast? Absolutely not, because they love Letty and they hate Barzal. Well, I won't say they hate Barzal, but they love Letty, right? But here's the thing. He almost got him murdered out there with a terrible pass. And Maguire called him out. And he called out Mayfield. And he called out Eberle and Nelson. He called out you know what? I have no problem with that. Because that means that you're telling the straight story top to bottom. Where it's not the company line where we're going to single out one guy for making mistakes and everybody else gets a pass. Okay? That's why Pierre Maguire is right. And what we do on our regional games is incorrect.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you know something. There's no way in hell they're going to let somebody go out there and openly call an honest game, or they're going to actually say, "Hey, what's going on there?" From the broadcast booth. They're just not going to allow. They're just not going to allow people to do that. They have to be yes men. They have to be yuppies. They have to be. I won't call them sycophants. They have to definitely be pro Islanders. So that's the reason they're doing that. Grumpy old man. Come on now.
You know what?
When you work there like a Pierre McGuire, and you work there for one of those nationally syndicated like MSNBC or NBCS or NBC Sports Network, when you go ahead and call a game under that, you have to be impartial. You have to go ahead and show no bias.
Well, but you know what? That's the way the game should be called. It shouldn't be where you. And here's the thing: if you're going onto your broadcast, you shouldn't rip one guy on your team because it's one guy on the team they rip. No, it's not even one guy; it's the young guys. You listen to Butch. Whenever a young guy makes a mistake, he's all over them. And you see these old guys. I mean, effing up all the time, and he doesn't say boo. That drives me insane. Either call it straight or just say the Islanders are great no matter what they do.
Can we talk about this too? There were two different defensemen in the Bruins game there.
I'm switching over here. I'm so angry.
I know, grumpy old man. I'm trying to take you off, but now this is kind of deviating away from that because we are going to open up the lines there for phone calls. If Islander fans there are upset with performance, if you're worried, because I'm going to ask you that too, grumpy old man. If you're starting to worry, because some Islander fans are starting to worry just with the play. I know we got to win tonight, but they're starting to worry just because of the play they've seen on the ice. This is not the Islanders team we saw there before the trade deadline, and we're ready to go ahead and reestablish some continuity, reestablish and mesh the lines together. I guess fans are starting to get a little angst, have a little angst, and getting a little antsy about that. That being said, I do want to ask you, did you notice against the Boston Bruins on Friday, two defensemen, Scott Mayfield and Noah Dobson, were both walked around by Taylor Hall? And I mean walked around. It was first Scott Mayfield, and I mean it led to a prime opportunity to score there for the Bruins. And then just later on, a few shifts later, same thing happens to Noah Dobson. And maybe that is I wasn't really surprised by Scott Mayfield being walked around because he's not a good skater, but Noah Dobson, I'm like, okay, he usually is a pretty skilled skater, and I was not expecting him to get walked around. Maybe that had something to do with it. I really don't think he's fully recovered from COVID. Yeah. And I'm not sure. Maybe they're just trying to give him extra rest. They want to see that Noah Dobson we saw at the beginning half of the season. That's the only thing I can think. I don't think this is one of these items we're going to see going forward, that Colburn's in the lineup game in and game out and Noah Dobson sitting the pine. I don't think we're going to see that.
I just think he sat Noah Dobson because he won't sit any of the veterans. That's the way I feel about it. And like I said, I was for the Coburn deal. I mean, you didn't give up my 7th-round pick. Who cares, right? Well, 1st-round picks don't matter to this team. What's the difference with a 7th-round pick? They don't matter either. So, and I thought he's a good depth guy, but he should have given guys rest. I'm just saying that Mayfield has been the weak link on defense in the last week and a half. For certain.
It's more than the last week and a half. Scott Mayfield has been, as a whole, if we look at the season, I think he's left so much to be desired from his play that we've seen in the past. He has taken a step back this season.
Yeah, he has. And I'm going to say it again. It's because you took away his partner who covered up for a lot of his mistakes. I mean, Nick Leddy is not the player that Devontae's is at this stage of his career. I know they think he is, but to me, he's not. Nick Leddy's played what? How many? 600, 700 games in the NHL? This kid played 150, and he's better than that.
Nick Leddy has played, and it's worth noting, Nick Leddy has played well this season. But it's funny, Islander fans, and again, I'm not sure if it's just one of those items to where when a guy leaves your team and leaves your organization, you start to undervalue him because you're no longer associated with them. Because it happens in sports. Like as soon as a player leaves, teams, fans say, "Oh, we never needed that player. He wasn't that important." Because you don't want to go ahead and admit that was an important player that you lost. That being said, I know some people who think that Devontae was not a top 4 defenseman, and I was just like, "Ooh, he's a top 4 defenseman wherever he goes in the NHL."
Before he left, how many games did he play? 100 games in the NHL. I mean, here's the thing. What everyone wants to just forget is he was the best defenseman coming out of camp 2 years ago, but they didn't want to bring him up. They sent him back down, and they let Hickey start. And this kid was so much better. It's the same pattern time after time. It never changes.
And I got the timeline mixed up. This was the time period he was the best defenseman out of camp, but he was coming off of that shoulder injury So they wanted him to go down there to Bridgeport in order to hone in his skills, where he played like 20 or 30 some odd games. And then he got called up there to the Islanders roster, and he was a mainstay ever since. But yeah, that is funny, right? I mean, like,
They called
saying that the Islanders would rather have their prospects overripe, I think, is an understatement.
Here's the thing. He was they can feed you any line of crap they want to, but the fact is they don't want to play young guys. That's just the bottom line. They do not want to play young players. He was vastly better than Hickey. Hickey is a number 7, number 8 defenseman. That's all he's ever been his whole career. He was higher on this team because we sucked out loud. Okay. But we started getting more talent on here defensively. He's where he is on the bench, wherever he is now. That's where he belongs. Okay. Devon Toews was vastly superior. He was the best defenseman in that training camp his first year. And they sent him down. Why? Because he wants to stick with the veterans. He never would have played except that Hickey got hurt. That's the only reason he played that year. And he came in and he took off from then. And then last year, I thought he made some defensive mistakes occasionally, but he was our power play leader, and he was the linchpin for Scott Mayfield having such an excellent year.
And he struggled a little bit in the playoffs too, which we noted. He made some uncharacteristically bad defensive mistakes, which we noted on this podcast. We're like, I'm not expecting Devon Toews to make those type of defensive blunders. And we made sure to go ahead and note that. And now when you look back on it, you wonder how much of that is because you're trying to cover up for Scott Mayfield. But it's one of those items that we'll continue to keep our eye on. I do just want to let you guys know there. We're open up there the phone line again. That telephone number to call in there if you want to speak there with myself and the Grumpy Old Man. If you have questions, is in the top left corner there. That being said, I know Grumpy Old Man likes to keep everything to a certain T. You know, if you give us a call and we have to decline, it means because we're on the phone there with somebody else, or if you hit a busy signal, it's because people are calling in. Just to remind you guys of that.
Yeah, I want to get back to the Toews thing. You know, yes, he wasn't great during the playoffs last year. He had some lapses, but it's because he'd only played in the league 100 games. Right? They say it always takes like 300 games before you're a fully baked product. Well, he was younger. You know what? Here's the thing. If you give those guys a shot when they're younger, by the time they hit their prime, they're ready to go. And guess who's going to enjoy his prime? That's right. The first place in the West, Colorado Avalanche, where he's like the top defenseman there right now.
Yeah, he has played really well this season. His plus minus is gaudy. And again, plus minuses and everything, but there's a reason to keep that stat. Scott Edels saying here, big win today. That is for certain. Yeah,
I mean, who knows what? I mean, at least we would have got the charity point. Sorokin, this is a Sorokin win. Everybody else could have, I didn't listen to what Barry said after the game. Honestly, I don't care. I don't hear what one lie he's going to tell on why he does what he does, or how this lineup is going to stay the same the next game because we won a game. Because that's one of his popular ones. Let's keep the lineup the same because we won a game. All right. So if you think scoring 0 goals every game is the way to go, I think he loves it. Yeah, let's win every game 1-0. Guess what? Come playoff time, you're going to get bounced. That's all. I'm bounced, absolutely bounced. And I did want to say we also did predict that Devon Toews would have an outstanding year for Colorado this year.
I mean, everybody saw that writing on the wall. I mean, he went to a high-octane, high-scoring team there, and he was able to go ahead and forecheck a little more than he was and give him more freedom there than he used to have with the Islanders. So it doesn't shock me at all that he's going to be probably putting up career-high numbers in goals, assists in this shortened season as well. So, no, that doesn't shock me. He's going to have a career-high plus-minus. He's off to a damn good season so far.
Maybe he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Wouldn't that be something else?
No, he won't be a Hall of Famer. But I'll tell you one thing. We've talked about it. We talked about it last podcast. I'm not going to bring it up, but we definitely got way underpaid for a guy who's going to be a top 4 defenseman for the next 6, 7, 8 years.
We overpay for Ricky Rental, and we give our younger players away. That's a recipe for disaster, my friends. Mm-hmm. When you look up recipe in the recipe book for how to build a team, when it says disaster section, they got Lou's picture, and they highlight the trades that he's made. Great job, Lou. Great job.
What other things do they have there in the recipe for disaster section of the way to build a successful franchise, Grump? What else do they have under the recipe for disaster section of the book?
Trading away first. We don't need first-round picks. We need more guys who know old card games, know how to play Mahjong, stuff like that. Ancient games of the past. Hey, we're real good Monopoly on the road trip. That's what we need. We don't need guys who could score. Why would we want guys who produce on the ice? Why would we need something like that? Unneeded. We don't need that. We can plug anybody in and run our system and be an average team, which is what we are. Thank you.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm glad to know that that is what's in the book. I haven't ordered the book yet, but I might have to buy a copy. Grump, who's the author? Who wrote the book?
Me. I wrote it.
It was written by the Grumpy Old Man, so I'll have to get a signed copy from you, Grump. We'll have to go ahead and coordinate it there. My secretary will get in touch there with your secretary. I want one of those signed books. Moving right to more to the comments there, Grumpy Old Man. Brian P says this podcast should be called "The Islanders Never Score."
Hey, who knows what we'll score next? I just laugh. I just laugh. You know, it's funny. It's laughable. It's laughable. The Islanders Inquirer put out after a couple of, I don't know which game, one of the Barzal.
Who is the Islanders Inquirer, Grumpy Old Man? Is that Eyes on Isles?
Yeah, you know, they I mean, hey, I'm sure they're nice guys. I really am sure they're nice guys. But man, oh man, they're slurping on the Lou lemonade. I mean, that's for certain. I mean,
The lemonade.
You know how I get, right? I mean, come on. And, you know, he was like one of the losers because he took a penalty. Okay, the penalty didn't cost us. And I mean, it's like, give me a break. Now a guy taking a penalty is a reason to put him a loser in a game that you got absolutely rolled? Really? I mean, come on.
Who was listed as a loser, Crump? Tell me.
Mayfield and then Barzal. I don't even know who was afterwards. Well,
they got the Mayfield part right because he definitely was a loser that game on Friday.
You know who they should put there for loser? They should put Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello.
Oh, stop, Grumpy Old Man. Stop. I'm not going to let you continue.
Failed trade deadline. How the hell did he win GM of the year last year? I mean, because nobody made it. He was the only guy who made a trade, I think.
Hold on.
How the hell did he win GM of the year?
Hold on. The reason he won GM of the year, Grumpy Old Man, is because he brought in Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Andy Green, even though our team was struggling mightily. I thought I had this fixed, Grumpy Old Man. We do have a call coming in here. Give me 1 second here, Grumpy. Touches in.
I've told TJ.
Ryan.
Hey, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Who do you have calling in today?
It's Brian P. from New Jersey. What's up, fellas?
Brian P.
What's up?
Yeah. This team is about as fun to watch as paint dry. God, the 1999 philosophy is just so. Oh God, explain this one to me. Kiefer Bellows plays 3 games when Anders gets hurt, scores 3 goals. We've had 15 games with Bum, Zajac, and Komarov on Barzal's line. They have one goal, 15 games. Do we ever hear anything about that?
No.
What we hear about is how they have brought stability to that line and how they're not hemorrhaging goals coming the other way, how they're not giving up any goals. Our first line now, even though it might not have the same offensive production, now we're going ahead and limiting the type of the offensive production of the other teams. So maybe we can go ahead and win those games, half a goal to 0 goals and shootout.
It's all part of Barry's plan to turn Matt Barzal into a grinder. That's what he wants. He wants everyone to be a 3rd and 4th line player. He could care less if you could score as long as you're playing defense. That's all that matters. Let me tell you something. I'm going to ask everyone a question. Do you think if Loser Lou was the GM?
Oh my God, what are you doing, Grumpy Old Man? Give me a break.
Loser Lou was the GM. He would have drafted Matt Barzal.
I like Bum.
You said what, Grumpy Old Man? Would he have drafted Matt Barzal? Is that what
I'm going to tell you the answer is no. Absolutely not. He never would have drafted him.
Yep. No way in a million years. Totally agree. No. Yeah.
They're afraid of talent. They're afraid of talent on this team. They're afraid of it. Because talent makes Trotz look better.
Stop. Oh, my God.
Arthur Staple even made fun of Komarov being on his line the first time because he's so afraid of Lou. He got the mandate. Ever since then, let me write an article about how it works on the first line with Leo Komarov. What a bunch of frauds and phonies they all are.
Brian,
all afraid of Lou.
Brian, thank you so much for the call. I'm going to let you go after that. But I'm going to tell you what. It's because Arthur Staple is a bootlicking weasel. That's why, just like all of the Islander cartel, they're afraid of Lou Lamoriello. Don't cut off my access. Access to what? He never tells you anything.
Thank you, Brian P. for calling in.
Great show as always, guys.
Thank you, Brian. So grumpy old man, do we need to go ahead and clip that little clip where you said Arthur Staples a bootlicking weasel? Do we need to clip that and send it over to him and say, "Hey Art, we would love to have you there as a as a guest there on our live stream podcast. This is the type of dialogue we go ahead and conversate in. Go ahead and clip that little section and send it to him. You think he's gonna like that, Grump? We've got another call here, Grumpy old man. Give me 1 second.
David.
To accept.
Hey, David, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. How are you doing?
What's up, boys? What's going on?
Is this D-cut? Is this D-cut?
You got it, Grump. You got it. What's up, pal?
What's up, brother?
Let me tell you. When I saw Mayfield was still in the lineup today, I almost jumped out of my apartment building window. This guy cost us 2 points the other night. He was the first star for the Bruins. Our sheepish media wouldn't even mention him by name. They kept saying, "Well, Barry, we know you don't want to call out players by name, but a couple of guys struggled." Why can't a Gross? Every time Gross speaks to Barry or Lou, he starts stuttering like a little kid asking a girl out on a date. This is ridiculous. I mean, how could Mayfield stay in the lineup? You have to. I love Barry Trotz. He's my favorite on the coach since Arbor. I do go back to the Arbor days. But you have to hold a guy like that accountable after a game like that. I mean, talk to me, Grump.
Yeah, okay. It's just like the Belichick syndrome that they have up in New England. Same thing. The coach and the GM have the media running scared. They're scared to ask. When was the last time you heard anybody ask Barry Trotz or Lou Lamoriello a question other than "What's your favorite color?" When should I wear white shoes? When should I wear white shoes? What time of the year?
The last question is like this. Hey, Lou Lamoriello, you had an excellent trade deadline. You brought in pieces like Travis Zajac. You brought in pieces like Kyle Palmieri to obviously help bolster a little bit of those offensive struggles. I mean, what do you expect out of those players here going forward? I mean, like, have you guys made enough moves? I mean, just softball questions like that. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
One quick thing, and then I'll let you go. Is there such thing in the NHL like the Levin law with the used cars with Palmieri? I mean, this guy looks finished to me. He looks absolutely finished to me.
He's lost. He's lost out there. He's lost.
I'm not going to jump on him too much. Come on now. He's a new team. He's a
freaking veteran. He's been playing in the league 12 years. He's a freaking veteran. Stop making excuses there, Pollyanna. I just want to touch on one thing that David said also. One thing. He said, how these sheepish, corporate minions, how they, we know, Barry, we know you don't like to single players out. These are the same guys who say, hey, that Matt Barzal took a penalty there in the back. What about that? I mean, because here's the thing. They have their marching orders. Do it. You are our minions. You will tell what we talk about. Only that. That's why people have to listen to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. So you get some realism, not some company speak. I mean, how boring is that? It's like 1984.
Well, you also shout out to Isles Misery on Misery would not boost the club like a lot of these other Facebook groups. So shout out to the Misery boys, Brian P., Matthew Scalo, Jay Rich, and all the boys. Take it easy, guys. Be well.
Thanks, David. Appreciate the call in.
And if I had a social media presence, I'd hook up with those guys, but I don't.
Oh, grumpy old man. I'll tell you. Your charisma is showing through here, grumpy old man.
Because it infuriates me. I mean, these things just bother me.
I do want to go ahead and call back who we had a call there from Ontario, from Canada, grumpy old man.
Canada's a good country.
I want to make sure we go ahead and give this person a call back.
The United States is a good country too. But I like Canada. It's nice. Nice people there.
Fair enough, grumpy old man. I'll tell you that we're moving right along there to comments there. Greg Frost says there, thank you, Ilya Sorokin.
Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.
We didn't go ahead and get him. I did try to go ahead and call back. That being said, grumpy old man, though, Greg Frost says, thank you, Ilya Sorokin. Could not agree more. Here we go.
100% accurate.
To accept, goodbye. Your
Well, I don't know, Grumpy Old Man. We're having technical difficulties a little bit. I thought we accepted it. Maybe not.
I'll tell you, TJ, you're going to have somebody who can handle those calls. I mean, you do a great job.
Yes, thank you very much, Grumpy Old Man.
No, hear me out. You do a great job, but I think juggle all those things. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no, Grumpy Old Man.
Rough.
We're doing just fine here. Hey, you're with
Hey,
TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Who do we have?
It's rough.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Not too bad. What do you have for myself there in a Grumpy Old Man?
All right, I got to pause so I don't get feedback here.
Okay.
How are you guys?
Oh, not too bad. I mean, like tonight, at least we got 2 points, but man, oh man, did we look miserable for about a good solid 40 minutes of the game. So I wouldn't say, I'm going to bed happy tonight.
Yeah, you got to be happy with 2 points, but I guess, it's, Brian Burke, I don't guess how much followed all that stuff, but Brian Burke was always, are we in entertainment business or are we in the winning game business? And that's a question for you guys, because I'm happy winning games after how many years have we lost? How many games?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Grumpy Old Man. Here you go, right? I mean, like, that's actually a good question there for Grump. I mean, he wants to have entertaining hockey, and a lot of Islander fans want to have that entertaining hockey, but a win's a win. So I definitely do understand that, Grump. I'll let you go ahead and take a crack at that first.
Okay. I'm about winning games. I'm about winning Stanley Cups. But here's the thing. If your team isn't good enough to win a Stanley Cup, which we're not, okay, don't delude yourself into thinking we're winning Stanley Cup. And with this group of players, we're just not good enough, okay, then you better be entertaining. Because, I mean, hey, even when we were terrible the last Tavares year, we're giving up, 360 goals, whatever the heck it was. At least they were fun to watch. At least they were fun to watch. I mean, this is a slog every night. I mean, sometimes I'm falling asleep watching. It's just so boring. Honestly.
Well, is that because your age, Grump, your advanced age, or why are you falling asleep?
It's usually because I've been up all week because I have a Sunday night podcast when I said we should have Saturday night ones. Thank you for leading me into that line, TJ. You weren't expecting that. Right?
I wasn't expecting that, damn it.
I got to be up late on Sunday night. It affects the whole week, right? And I'm blaming on you.
Oh, shit. I wasn't expecting to be able to flip that on me, but I'll give you props there, Grump. I wasn't expecting that.
No problem at all. But, it's seriously about that question. You are there to win. But you got to be thinking about the future. I mean, we're not good enough. We're just not good enough right now. And until we actually come to that realization, and it's tough for Islander fans. It really is. Because after being bad for so many years, you're just happy that we're competitive again. I mean, and I understand that. But I want to be big picture. I want to be able to contend for Stanley Cups. That's what I want. Last year was our best chance. It was. And now we're seeing, do you think we could really beat Boston or Washington or Pittsburgh in a playoff series?
I think when we play home games, we're pretty dominant there against Boston. It's also worth taking into account, again, Boston was playing at home.
Boston's picked their game up. They really picked their game up. Hall has really helped them. And now they have two lines. And the kid in the goal, Swayman, has looked better than Rask. He was unconscious against us.
Well, is that just because any single person who walks in the net against the Islanders always seems to stand on their head? It could be Joe Blow from the Alamo, and he'd go ahead and stand on his head there and pitch a 50-game shutout against us. That just always seems to be our luck as Islanders.
Well, that's another thing. We just don't have the talent. Think about how many wide open chances, and we just hit the guy right in the chest. How many times? Del Cole, right? Clang, Nelson, bang, right in the chest. The same guy. But here's the thing. You can't expect them to be more than they are. That's the whole thing. You're expecting them to be more than they are. They are what they are.
They are what they are. You have one last question here before we disconnect there and reopen back up the lines.
No, I don't have another question. Enjoy your show, guys. Enjoy your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Grumpy Old Man, I'll tell you, though. I'm telling you, you're in rare form here. Scott Levy also says, how does Barry sit Dobson and dress Mayfield? Loves playing the vets over the kids. Head scratching. I know we touched on this earlier, and this is a comment here from earlier on in the podcast. But
that's the reason. That's the reason in a nutshell. If he's going to sit somebody, it's going to be a young guy. He only wants veterans, guys he can trust. I can trust these guys. Well, what does it do for a young player? Now, TJ, you were a player. What does it do for a younger player when the coach yanks you at the first? And here's the thing: when you see guys who you're better than, and the coach sits you because you don't have as much experience, even though you're outperforming them. How does that affect you as a player?
It's weird. It doesn't affect anybody the same. It's always different. It depends on your personality. I mean, again, like I was always a player where it's like I always thought, I'm like, who the hell are you? I was not I could be a little combative back during my playing days. So I mean, not all players are like that. But they have a lot of, I'm sure the support cast and crew they have with them is like letting them know, like, hey, this is the same exact thing that happened to me. You have a strong support group with you. I mean, every single player out there in the organization, I think, wants every single player and every single young player to succeed. So how much does it affect them? I'm not sure. It all depends on a person-to-person basis. It's tough to make a blanket statement. It really is. But I understand what you're trying to point to, right? If you think you're performing better, why the hell am I sitting on the bench? I don't know. I just really think this is a one-off situation. Noah Dobson will be back in the lineup. I just think they want him to get cleared there after COVID.
I will agree with you there.
Gotcha, grumpy old man.
Mike.
Hey, Mike, you're live here with TJ and the grumpy old man. How are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I almost fell asleep, but somehow I'm still awake after that one.
I was about to say, stay away from support beams. Go ahead, though, Mike. What do you got for us?
I actually I wanted to hear from you and Grumpy what your guys' ideal lineups are, or at least maybe just the forward lines. Because I think what we're doing right now is horrible, especially to Barzell. I mean, he's given all these turnovers away because Komarov can't get open to save his life, and Everly's been like in a slump.
Grump, I guess I'll kind of first start on this. I love Tommy Baffy's idea, Coach Tommy B. I would like to have Jean-Gabriel Pageau there on that left wing slot. I mean, we saw it again today. His ability to shoot crossbody on those goalies, I really think can go ahead and add a different element. If you're not going to put a guy like Palmieri there on the first line, why not put Jean-Gabriel Pageau? I mean, the third line would just be the honestly, we could go ahead and put. I really like Tommy B's lineup. I mean, like you go ahead and put Josh Bailey there on the third line, Travis Zajac down there on the third line. I know you're not going to like per se probably those lineups there, grumpy old man, but Oliver Wahlstrom maybe gets a step up, more ice time. We need scoring. That is the most important thing this team needs. No, we're not hemorrhaging goals. We've had certain players there on defense make boneheaded mistakes. The biggest issue for us right now is putting the puck in the net. Our power play has been woeful. Those are things we have to address. If we want to be a serious competitor, you can be as great as you possibly can there in 5-on-5 hockey. There has not been one single game since the beginning of March that this team has scored more than one power play goal in any night. Just think about that. You really think about how the special teams battle, especially when you're looking at these playoff series. If you scored 2 power play goals against the Islanders, holy crap. I mean, like, unless you're outstanding in 5-on-5 play, I mean, like the way our power play is headed right now, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah. Going to the lines, you can't say Bailey on the third line because he's not healthy right now, or you can't include Clutterbuck. So to me, that kind of, when you're kind of hamstrung. But to me, why are you not even giving Palmieri a chance to play with Barzal and Eberle? That's my whole thing. At least give him a chance, even if it's for a period or 2 periods. He just doesn't get a shot with him. I just don't understand. You traded a first-round pick for this guy, supposedly to get a winger to play on his side to replace Anders Lee, and you just don't do it. You play him on the third line. I mean, the only reason he's on the second line now is because Bailey's out. I mean, I don't understand it. You move Beauvillier. He was working great on the third line. You move him up, and then he moves off the third line. They fall asleep. Then the second line takes a jump, right? And now he doesn't have that chemistry. At least he didn't tonight with the third line. I mean, we know that Anthony Beauvillier has had success with Matt Barzal and Jordan Eberle before. Why not give him a shot on the first line? I mean, there's a lot of things he can do. I don't understand why he keeps, and he's right, shackling Barzal with a Komarov or a Zajac or a Matt Martin or even an Anders Lee. That's not conducive to his style of play. I don't understand it. I mean, I know, we have to have a big, heavy presence on that line. They're easy to defend. Maybe it's easy for you to defend because your players suck. But I'm going to tell you what, other teams around the league struggle with guys who can really skate. That's for certain.
Jesus Christ.
You don't have to have a guy who's 6'3", 240 pounds standing in front of the net if you're creative and you can make passes and plays. And that's what Barzal could do with a good winger. That's what he could do.
Oh, goodness gracious. Do you have any other questions there for us?
Yeah, just one more comment before I get off. I find it so strange that like as being a fan watching Tavares all those years and being like, man, if he just had a great winger, and now it's all these years later and with Barzell, and it's like, man, if he just had a great winger. and people are all over him on Twitter because of the turnovers and stuff, and it's like, I think people focus on him so much because he's the only breath of fresh air out on the ice. Like literally, sometimes it's tough to watch, and tonight was no exception.
I mean, people can rip on him; they're morons. I'll be honest with you, they're morons.
That's how I feel.
They know absolutely nothing about the game because you know what? I think maybe the one thing he's guilty of is trying to do too much. I mean, it's a two-man line. I'm serious. I was watching the game today, and I'm watching the two defensemen up ahead of Leo Komarov when he's in the offensive zone. I'm like, what the hell are you even out there for? Why are you even out there? It's 2 against 5 in that zone. That's what it is. I mean, and you're expecting results. Everything is individual brilliance from him. The last goal we scored, so many games ago, was directly because of that.
The last regulation goal. That's a great point, Grumpy Old Man. We didn't even mention that. Lord Voldemort went ahead and put that behind the net. He goes ahead and makes Tuukka Rask leave the post. He does that nice spin there and passes it to a wide open Travis Zajac because the Bruins defenseman also goes ahead and vacates Zajac to go ahead and protect against that wraparound. It leaves it for that wide open shot there for Zajac.
And on that play, if you remember, Butch ripped him on the pass from Eberle, which was between his legs. That pass was kind of in between his legs behind him. It wasn't a good pass, and he's kind of intimating, well, Barzell should have made a better play on that. Dude, I mean, I know you could have used that point to push the company line, but I guess he overcame it by adjusting, taking on 2 guys and feeding a wide open Zajac, who somehow lumbered to in front of the net and an easy can of corn for him to pop in. That was the last time we actually scored a goal.
That was the last regulation goal.
Lenny didn't score today. Philadelphia scored today against themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I just forgot. We didn't even have to listen to Butch Underwater tonight. He wasn't there.
Yeah, thank you.
He can't stand him anymore. Honestly, I feel bad, but he tries to make a point and then he like goes into like slow mo when it just doesn't make sense. And then Brendan's just like, yeah, okay, let's keep moving on. Whatever, Butch.
I feel bad for Brendan and I feel bad for Butch. I feel bad for all parties involved because it's always a time period where you get to an age. I mean, Father Time is undefeated. Father Time's undefeated on the ice. Father Time's undefeated in commentary roles. There's at a time period where you just can't do it anymore. And again, like it's never fun to accept and sit there and have that like introspective moment where you're like, I'm not as good as what I was, a few years ago. I'm not as articulate. I can't pronounce any of the players' names. We just went ahead and lost the call. But I'm not as articulate. I'm not good as pronouncing players' names. And again, I feel like Butch is there. I love Butchie. I mean, we all have to love Butchie. He's forgotten more hockey than we know, but it's just, it's time. It's time. I'm ready to see him in a more limited role because, I hate it because, he's trying. You could tell he's trying, but I hate when he's making those mistakes there where he's like butchering names. Again, I make mistakes too, but
I don't care. I don't care that Butch makes mistakes. It's the fact that he just preaches the company line. I remember when Billy Jaffe was doing the broadcast. That's why he's gone. He called it like it was. And he got bounced. I think Billy Jaffe's really good in his role. Oh, well.
Grumpy old man. We keep on rolling through there. What a film says, Grumpy, we need you. WTF is going on.
Same old, same old. I mean, it's the common refrain. We don't want to play any young guys. We don't want to score any goals. As long as we play defense, that's all that matters. But today, our defense was not that good. We were bailed out by Sorokin.
Yeah, Matthew C. there says Sorokin's getting better and better. That is for certain.
Without a doubt.
And Bruce Kingston, hey, Bruce there says a win is a win and a point of the season, a big win tonight.
Very true. We're 8 points on the Rangers. We have 1 game in hand on them. I mean, I still think we make the playoffs.
Biggest for me is we have been unbelievable at the Coliseum this year. If we could somehow find and manage our way into winning the division, I think that really bodes well there for us because again, we've got the best record on home ice there in all of the NHL out of any other team right now. So if we could have home ice advantage, obviously that is beneficial, but it's just not looking. It's not looking like we're going to be probably winning the division. Again, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then, but we do have a very, very tough schedule. And if the last 3 games bodes for a future sputtering out of team performance, we're probably not going to win the division. But there's still a lot of time left.
Right. Look at the next 5 or 6 games. It's Rangers and Washington Capitals. That's the first place team and the team in 5th place.
I was about to say, College Quinn. I tell you one thing, they're going to be fighting it for every single night there for playoff contention.
I don't know why they'd ever play Shesterkin against us, honestly, because Georgiev just owns us.
Yes.
So I'm just surprised. You ever notice one thing about the Russian goalies? They don't like to freeze the puck. They always, when it comes on them, they'll play it in the corner. That's that old Soviet system where they don't want the play stopping. They want to get the puck up and they want to have their guys do their stuff like they did in the 70s, where we pass the spots. I mean, they were great. They were sensational. But I think that's still that old Soviet system. We don't want to freeze the puck. We want to keep it moving. And you see it from Shesterkin, Georgiev, and Sorokin.
Yeah. John Esther says, anyone for turnovers? We have dozens. Oh, man, I'll tell you, dude. Tonight.
What causes the turnovers? Pressure on the forecheck. Hard-charging teams. They always give us problems. Teams that are strong on the forecheck give us a lot of problems. It's not rocket science, people. It really isn't. The teams that are aggressive, they force us into making mistakes. Yeah. I mean, that's why I was surprised. Even the last Boston game, Dobson was real good when he was pressed. I'm always amazed at how calm he is back there, and he almost always makes the right play. That's why I was surprised he got benched.
Okay, I won't say always, because sometimes
98% of the time.
Less now than he was when he first started there with the Islanders. But remember, he sometimes can overhandle the puck. He did that a lot more towards the beginning of the season. He's kind of weeded that out of his game, but he definitely did have issues overhandling the puck a little bit and causing turnovers there to lead the other way. So he's done that before. I think he had a time or two like that on Friday's game against the Boston Bruins. But Sal Pete, Grom, go ahead.
I'm just saying the way he handles it, the forecheck when they're coming at him in the corners, where you see other guys spit it up. They're always puking the puck up. He doesn't do that. He does not do that.
Sal P says, what's up, guys? Sorokin absolutely stole this one. Infallible Barry has got to do something to inject some offense into this team's game plan.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to hear from the media that this was Barry's plan all along. Yeah, this is Barry's plan all along. I just want to show you how great Sorokin is. We're going to just throw a bunch of AHL guys out there, that Brent Thompson and, my GM hero, Chris Lamarillo, throw up there. We can win with those guys because we play the system. Yeah, right. Keep dreaming.
Oh, goodness, grumpy old man. Matthew C. also says, hopefully this win gives us a boost of confidence. I'll tell you one thing. We definitely need to course correct based off of what we've seen the last 3 nights. I mean, like the third period, we looked better. Hopefully we're starting to round the bend out of a little bit of a rut. That being said, man, oh, man. Oh, you want to get out of this trough as soon as possible.
You can hope, Matthew.
You can hope, but what are you about to say, Grump? I feel like you're about to say something else.
You can hope. That's all I'm going to say. You can hope. That doesn't make it that's going to happen.
Matthew asked there, going for comment of the day already. Sorokin charge him with grand larceny.
He was, without a doubt. He's the reason why we won. He was the first star, second star, third star, fourth, and fifth. He was the game.
Oh, goodness gracious. Alexander Diaz there says, can someone tell me why Trotz was sitting Dobson for Colburn instead of Green or Mayfield? I mean, come on. That's inexcusable. I really just think he wants him to get better. He's just never been the same after COVID. No. I hope it's just a one-time thing. And again, I look at it like this. If we see here next Islander game, Noah Dobson still on the bench, I'm starting to side with hey, he wants the older guys out there no matter what, despite performance.
Okay. Here's the thing. He's not the worst performer out of the D group. That's the whole thing. Mayfield has been, without a doubt, the worst performer in the last number of games from that defensive core. He has been the worst. But he doesn't get set. It's the young guy. It's an age thing. Look at the birth certificate. That's all you need to know. That's what he does when he makes a lineup card. Oh, gosh. He was born when? 2000s. What is that? This is like only 2001, isn't it?
So when the Islanders enter the clubhouse, does he go ahead and make sure he IDs them, or has someone take down the ID information so they get down the ages, and that's where he determines what type of lineup he's going to throw out there?
Yeah, I don't know what the clubhouse looks like. He probably has all the younger players like in a little area that's cordoned off like a little wooden fence, like a playpen or something.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, and then Matthew C. also saying there, Mayfield must have the seniority. Brian B. says should be, but not in Trott's dictionary. Oh man, I'll tell you.
There's my boy Brian. Gotta love him.
What is he, Grumpy Old Man? What's Brian?
Brother from another mother.
Brother from another mother.
Brian Bugden.
Champions there. Another YouTube comment says, what a steal that was. Absolutely, it was a steal tonight. Not a game we deserved to win, but we did nonetheless. Yeah, gotta bring it against the Rangers there on Tuesday. Matthew C says, I was about to say the Rangers there. I mean, like we play them Tuesday, then Thursday you're looking at the Washington Capitals, and then as well as on Saturday you're looking at the Washington Capitals. We play the Rangers on Tuesday. We play the Washington Capitals our next 3 games, and we play the Rangers again twice. Man,
okay. The most important game is beating the Rangers, right? I mean, yes, we want to win every game, but you want to beat the team that could possibly pass you in the standings to make the playoffs. I mean, that's a 4-point swing if we beat them in regulation.
What if Films also says Sorokin won us a game. That is special. He's going to have to bring us to the cup. What the hell, Barry? Grump, what the hell is going on with the Islanders? I bring this up just to say, what is going on with the Islanders? If you had to sum this up for fans, Grumpy Old Man, what do you sum up the Islanders' current lull in their game?
Our lack of depth, our lack of actual talented player depth. And it's always been that, right? I've been saying it for years. We're a team of ham and eggers to begin with, but the ham and eggers who are below our ham and eggers are really down there. Michael Del Cole, okay, should never sniff the ice on a good team. Never. Josh Bailey, as much as I rip on him, he serves a purpose on this team. He's not a great player, but he does the things that Barry likes. He knows the system. He's smart, right? That's what everybody – not productive, but he's smart. You got a guy like Clutterbuck goes out. The fact that you don't have a first-line wing. Well, I mean, think about it. You have guys who just came over from the lowly New Jersey Devils, and we have no competition for them. Zajac plays on the first line for us. What does that tell you about our depth? I mean, come on. He was a third or fourth line player with Jersey. And for some reason,
line minutes, I think, a third or second line minutes. I can't remember.
He wasn't a second liner. He was maybe a third liner. I mean, he's finished. He's finished as a player. I mean,
Zajac's definitely on, he's closer to the exit door than he is the entrance door, if you catch my drift.
But he comes to this team, and we have a couple injuries, and he's playing on the first line. He doesn't fit because he can't skate. I mean, I don't understand. The problems are we have no depth.
Comment here from Frank K says, the Crushing Russian says, I will break you 6 straight trash games. Sorokin is why they even had chances to win. End of the story. The chemistry isn't happening. The geezer line has got to go. The young kids are getting buried/ruined.
As everyone, what did I say at the beginning of the year? Last year, I said it. Play the young guys. You want to play your young guys who are on cheap contracts immediately. Let them develop to what they are so you know what you have. You don't let guys sit in the minors or, even if we had talent, you don't let them sit in the minors till they're 25, 26 years old, because then they're right up against free agency. You play them early. You pay them accordingly.
I have a solution for us, Grumpy Man. Are you ready to hear the solution?
Probably not.
There's one guy down there in the minors who can absolutely redefine the offensive continuity and the offensive acumen the Islanders organization is having trouble with right now, Grumpy Old Man. Are you ready to hear who it is?
It's not. No, we didn't draft Philip Tomasino.
No, Grumpy Old Man. You got to trust me on this one. There's one player who can completely change this. Grump, do you want to know who it is?
Go ahead. Piss me off now. Go ahead.
It's Simon Holmstrom, Grump. That's not going to piss you off. It's Simon Holmstrom. Come on now.
Like I said, we didn't draft. I knew that's where you were going. Casper sucks. Okay. Here's the thing. You know how I knew they'd never draft Matt Barzal? Because they didn't draft Philip Tomasino. That's why. And he's a Barzal clone. And I bet you wasn't even on their board. If he was available in the 7th round, they wouldn't have picked him.
Michael, Alexei Kali who is it? What's his first name? Kalia's first name? I forget.
He's Alexei Kaliev.
Okay, I couldn't remember, grumpy old man.
Connor McMichael, all guys who are going to be way better pros than Casper. Casper sucks.
No, moving right along. I just wanted to poke the bear a little bit. Tom White says, did deserve the 2 points, but we'll take them for certain. We'll take those 2 points. And Nick D there says, TJ, grumpy old man, how are you guys doing? I'm watching you guys all the way from Vancouver.
Well, hey, I love Vancouver. Was a big Roberto Luongo fan. Wasn't necessarily a fan of the Sedin sisters, but they were really good. I mean, if you're going to have a couple of soft players, at least they had talent.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Oh, the Sedins, sure, they were a little soft. I'll tell you this much, though. Man, oh, man, could they pass the puck? And man, oh, man, could they see the ice?
How many wingers did they make? How many left wings did they make in their time? I mean, Sedin's a Hall of Famers, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? They're all
the only people that they were in the 1999 draft, right?
Yeah, it was a great deal by I think Brian Burke was the GM.
It was the worst. It's heralded as the worst draft in NHL history because none of these guys panned out there except really the Sedins.
Yeah, it worked out. That was really a master stroke by I believe it was Brian Burke was the GM then. Fantastic move.
Louis C. there says, I'm so sick of the anemic, shitty offense, guys. I can't take it much longer, and Barry needs to cut the shit with Leo.
The whole thing is we can't even get out of our own zone. We can't even get out of our own zone. I mean, Philadelphia gave up 6 goals yesterday afternoon. And less than, 24 hours later, I mean, they're dominating us. How does that happen?
To play devil's advocate, do you think maybe because they were so woeful defensively yesterday, they were able to go ahead and put forth a good effort today? Do you think that maybe has anything to play in that or no?
I don't know. We haven't scored in 3 games, so I'm going to say it's more what we're not doing as opposed to what teams are doing.
Grumpy old man, I thought you were going to get a hiccup there, I see.
I did have a hiccup, but I was able to mask it. But thanks for calling me out on it. Good job.
I don't know. Grumpy, people watch it. If they're watching the live stream, they see that stuff. Anyway, Louis C. also says there, I know we're doing good this year as a whole, but this is a problem. In the playoffs, we will be smashed. And that's the thing, right? Ideally, you'd like to have home ice advantage, but the most important thing is, to make the playoffs. And now we're looking at how will our team play during the playoffs? What type of inkling do we have going forward? And man, oh man, we have time. We have time for the new additions there to gel, but as of right now, haven't made a huge impact.
I'm going to say it again. If you're a free agent who is a player with offensive acumen, would this be a team you'd even consider coming to? That's a question, FYI.
Ask it again, Grumpy.
If you're let's say you're a free agent. I realize this is an off-season question, but I'm going to throw it out there.
I know you love the off-season.
What?
I know you love the off-season.
I do love the off-season because that's when hope abounds. But here's the thing. If you're a free agent who's a goal scorer, someone who can put the puck in the net, someone whose talent is scoring or playing offense, would you consider coming to the Islanders?
I mean, it just depends. I mean, like if the price was right, sure, certainly I'd come to the Islanders.
Okay. After you see what they've done with Matt Barzal, making him subjugate his game, everyone has to subjugate their game to play on this team. If all things are the same, if you had a chance to go to Toronto or to Vancouver or to go to Tampa Bay or the Islanders, where would you go? I'm going to tell you what, it's not the Islanders.
Well, yeah, I get it. Brian P. also says 9 goals in 6 games since the trade. This team is old and slow.
Without a doubt. I mean, they've been old and slow for the last couple of years now. Because guess what? We have old, slow players on this team. I mean, I hate to beat that same horse, but it doesn't change. It's all true.
We got a few comments here talking about Aerosmith. Grump, any other song you want to go ahead and plug or play or sing for us right now?
It was funny. I was listening today. I was also walking. I listen to a lot of different types of music. I was also listening to another Aerosmith song, "The Train Kept It Rolling," which the beginning is I just love the beginning of that song. Love it.
Well, here's the question, Grump. When you watch, do you
It's great. It's great, man. It's great. Great song.
I wish we could have seen all the air guitar and the mad. What do they call that when you're shredding the guitar? There we go. When you're shredding there the notes. I will ask you another question here, Grump. When you're walking, and now do you do this often here?
Walk?
Yeah,
every day.
Well, here's my question: do you get to listen to some of the amazing podcasts, like the Eyes on Isles podcast, Grump? Do you listen to any of those podcasts so you can get some ideas? Some
ideas from the national
bad ideas, grumpy old man. That's more what I'm talking about.
No, I read their little website. I mean, it's enjoyable for entertainment purposes. It is. They're wrong every time. They're never right. But they're interesting. I love their trade proposals. 4th round pick for Johnny Gaudreau. Come on.
I'm sorry. John P says, let them get this slump out of their system before the playoffs begin. All teams have slumps at various points of times throughout the season. Playoffs are different. Sorokin is maturing exponentially by the game. I will say, there are lulls for certain, throughout the season. And, if this is the Islanders' trough where this is the lowest they're going to be, good. Get it out of the way now. But you're right. The biggest takeaway I have from this game is, man, oh, man, Sorokin is really starting to feel comfortable and step into his role.
I hate being right all the time. But what did we talk about when the season started when talking in regards to Sorokin, right? I knew we weren't going to score. Everyone knows it. But what were we talking about? What specifically did I say about Sorokin as it went on? Right? I said, you know what? What you want is where he starts off a little bit slower, but then towards the end of the year, he's the best goalie in his game, takes off. And we're seeing that. So kudos to Barry, not Lou, but kudos to Barry for the way that he's handled Sorokin this year. I think it's been a masterclass.
Anytime we say anything about a Sorokin, I'm going to say kudos to Barry and Lou Lamoriello. Again, Lou Lamoriello brought him over here. He was able to bring the legitimacy and get Sorokin to the Islanders. So always, you have to go ahead and pay that homage to the Lou Lamoriello gods. That's definitely something we got to go ahead and accurately say he did well. And, Barry did do a good job of getting him integrated in. He seems much more confident at the beginning. You could tell he seemed a little shaky. Didn't necessarily have the angles down. Rebound control wasn't really all that there. It's funny, Grump. I have to mention something.
And also, one second. And also, kudos to Greco and Korn for working on the mistakes that he was making early year, and he's kind of ironed them out. I mean, I think they've done a masterful job. And once again, I didn't include Lamoriello because I don't think he has anything to do with what actually goes on the ice.
Well, he brought Sorokin there. So again, we'll always throw that little dime his way. Anyway, I have to mention something. The lovely Paige said she was able to hear you and thought an animal was dying with the noise that you were singing and the air guitar you were playing, grumpy old man.
Okay. I've heard Paige sing pot meet kettle. Thank you.
Oh, goodness gracious, the lovely Paige.
Don't take shots at the grumpy old man, Paige.
She can sing well. That's all I'm going to say. She sings well. I like her singing, grumpy old man, but I sing horribly. Anyway, moving right along there. Tom White says, rotate Mayfield and Green with Coburn and Hickey. We'll end up getting more out of them if Trotz creates some competition for the spot.
No, sorry, Tom. I disagree totally. I mean, Hickey sucks. Coburn, thank God Andy Green was back there today because Coburn got caught numerous times.
Here's my point. I like the idea, right? We do need competition for those spots because I'm sick and tired of what we have on the team is exactly what we've got. No matter how poorly you play, you're automatically going to be rolled out there game in and game out. I like the idea. We do need to have competition in some form or fashion. We need to have competition there for our forwards and our defensemen. I mean, like when players like Scott Mayfield perform poorly, there ideally should be someone you could slide in and say, hey, you've been performing not the level we expect you at this entire season. As of recent, you cost us there that game against the Bruins. You're making some bad turnovers there, taking some bad penalties as of recent. We can't have that. Get your mind, clear your mind, sit them on the bench. You need competition. You do. I've always been a big believer. You need competition. Competition always brings out the best in athletes. It does.
Yeah, I just don't think those guys are good enough. I just don't. I wouldn't put them in a lineup. That's like, we have our set top six for the most part, notwithstanding tonight. Those guys are fill-ins if there's injuries.
Oh my goodness, Grumpy. I have a comment that is going to make you happy. It's going to make you happy. So I'm going to have to ask you to put your happy glasses on. If you have a happy hat, I'm telling you to put that on too. Matthew C says, hey, move Leo back to the first. That shit was working there before the trade.
Yeah, because Matt Barzal did it all himself. That's the only way we score, really, is if he does something fantastic.
In my opinion, that stuff did not work very well before the trade. I mean, like Leo Komarov was being pulled by his coattail, if you catch my drift, everywhere he was going. And then Brian L says here, Dobson has played like shit since he came back there from COVID. He has.
Okay, I won't say he played that poorly. Mayfield has been way worse. Way worse.
From what you expect from Noah Dobson, what we saw earlier on in the season, can we not say we've seen a precipitous drop?
I'm going to say we've seen, okay, they haven't put him on the power play, and I don't think his play has been as good since he come back from COVID. I mentioned that. But if you're looking for the guy who's played the worst, it's been Scott Mayfield, and it's not even close for second. I mean, not even close. So, I mean, I disagree with that. I don't think he's played. Has he been as good? No. But he's not been the worst defender on this team. He has not been. That's been Scott Mayfield.
Frank K there says, I would have given Taves one more year.
Then you would have had to pay him, Frank. See, that's the whole thing. They didn't want to pay him because we mismanaged the cap, signing all those old hacks, all those ham and eggers, the averages, the Crocs, the Eberleys. And then they want to make sure, we can, oh, well, how come we don't have any money? Because you pissed it away on guys in their 30s, giving them long term, or the Leos, or the $6 million men. Guys like this, these are the type of lollipops and the $6 million man. When you're signing guys like that, you don't have money to pay Taves. Taves only made $4.5 million a year this year. $4.5 million. You couldn't fit him under the cap. And you knew Johnny was not going to play. And you still messed it up. There's your $4.5 million. How about dumping Andrew Ladd on long-term injury, Lou, like you did with Robidoux when you were in Toronto when he was healthy? How about dumping those guys all of them on long-term injury? They could all go there. Nobody cares.
I do want to remind everybody the phone line is open and to call in. If you have any comments there for Grumpy Old Man, myself, anything you want to vent about, anything you want to say, hey, you got this wrong, or hey, you got this right, go ahead and call in. We're still, though, continuing there with comments. Greg Frost says, not the first time Sorokin has won by himself. That is for certain. And again, he's led in some really weak goals that are kind of shocking. But man, oh man, did he stand on his head tonight?
Yeah, he was fantastic. He's everything that we could have hoped he was going to be. I remember at the beginning of the year, I said, hey, let's know he's going to have some adjustment time, pump the brakes. We want him peaking by the end of the year. And just like the kid in Boston, very, very similar situation. And it's funny, I watched the kid in Boston, and stylistically, he doesn't remind me of the player I'm going to mention who's a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying this kid is a Hall of Famer. But Ken Dryden had the same effect on Montreal when they won the Cup.
Jeremy Swayman, right? Jeremy Swayman.
Yes. He reminds me of Ken Dryden, who played for Montreal. Gosh, I want to say it was 1971 when he started. And he came in with like maybe 12 games to go and never left the Montreal net for years. And he backstopped them to a Stanley Cup title. And next year, I think he won Rookie of the Year because he hadn't played enough games. And this kid seems to be having the same effect on Boston. So it's interesting.
Carlos C. there says a great third period. I will tell you one thing, for as miserable as the first 40 minutes were, the third period, it did seem like we took it to Philadelphia a little more, where Brian Elliott really had to make some big stops to keep him in the game.
Did you really think we were at risk for scoring, though? Did you really have that? I didn't.
We had a few chances, but they weren't like glorious opportunities. It would have been like a muddy chance where it's like, we grinded out, we mucked it out here for a goal.
That's our team in a nutshell. That is our team in a nutshell. We have to work so hard for every goal. If we had some talent, we would have won this game going away, even though we played poorly the first two periods. Because, I mean, there were chances to be had. We're just not good enough to convert them.
Well, Angela Nina says, I just wonder, I just wondering what this conversation would look like if Palmieri was racking up points like Mantha.
It would be positive. It would be a positive converation. But am I surprised? There's a reason I said I didn't like Kyle Palmieri, right? I couldn't put my finger on it. Now I can. He sucks. Okay, so there you go.
You're jumping so early, and I cannot wait for the tides to come the other way, grumpy old man, because all this negativity you're throwing there to Kyle Palmieri. I can't wait for him to rattle off a few game goal streak or a few game point streak.
He looks lost out there. He looks absolutely lost out there.
I know you said you're not going to give him an adjustment time period. Come on, though, man. He's working with whole new line mates. You got to give him a little bit of an adjustment time period.
Okay. Anthony Mantha has all new line mates too. Taylor Hall has all new line mates too. They hit the ground running. Our guy comes in and he shits the bed. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Sal P there says, also in the recipe for disaster, putting together a team of third and fourth line grinders. Let's bore the opposition into submission just like today. I've told you, I've likened the Islanders organization, the Islanders style of play last year in the playoffs to we were the vampires of the NHL. We suck the life out of other teams. This is ideally how we like to win. This is the Barry Trotz style of hockey. Suck the life out of other teams. Go ahead and slow them down where they get aggravated. They take these penalties. They try to overextend because they're not able to be successful in the offensive zone because we have that nice collapsing style to where, it's really hard to go ahead and execute score on us. And we're able to go ahead and just hit them with a quick counter strike and score a goal. I mean, that's the style we play. We're the vampires of the NHL.
I can think of another scenario for sucking the life out of things, but I'm not going to comment on that at this time.
John Whitty says, Grump, we're second in the East. Average? I think not.
Yeah, let's see.
I'll tell you one thing, right? It's funny, we just even scroll the clock back here last week, even 2 weeks ago. We're in first or fighting for first with the Washington Capitals. Now it's like, oh, wow, everything's tightened up in the division where now, we did go ahead and leapfrog over there the Pittsburgh Penguins today. We're 1 point ahead of the Penguins. The Boston Bruins are only 4 points behind us. It's crazy how tight this division is. I'll tell you, I mean, very easily the Islanders could finish first. Very easily the Islanders can finish fourth because this division is so tight.
I don't see us finishing first.
I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's close. We're close to the Washington Capitals, just like the Boston Bruins are close there to not being fourth anymore.
Boston's not going to be fourth. I'm going to tell you right now, they're not. Their game has really picked up. They've gotten over whatever issues they were having earlier in the year. They've really turned it around. They're going to be tough to beat. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they won division. You got to remember, we're in second place, but we're only, Toronto. Boston has, how many points is Boston behind? 4 points? They have 3 games in hand. So, I mean, Pittsburgh, I think we played the same amount of games. They're only 1 point behind. The Rangers are 8 points behind. I think we will make playoffs, but.
Well, I was about to say, if you don't make playoffs, it's a monumental collapse. So as of right now, it's not 3 games in hand. The Islanders have played the same exact amount of games there as the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've played 1 less game than the Capitals, and the Bruins have played 2 less games than the Islanders. So again, you could have, if the Bruins win their next 2 games, and again, let's just say we even all up, they win their next 2 games, they have the same exact amount of points as the Islanders. It really is a matter of 6 points that separates your first place team in the division from your last playoff team in the division. And again, the team in first right now has played 46 games. The team in fourth has played 43 games. So they have 3 games in hand, the Bruins over the Washington Capitals. So it's funny to think about that, of how tight and close this division is. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It is the toughest division in all of hockey.
Well, just very, very tightly. A lot of divisions like that. When you play every team, that's all you're playing is your divisional teams. Those games are going to be tight.
I'm just if you look at how close the margin is from your first place team to your fourth place team, there's no other division that's closer than the East. I mean, you could say, hey, the Central Division is an unbelievable division. When you look at that team, when you look at the teams, though, Grumpy Old Man, right? The Hurricanes are in first. The Florida Panthers are in second. The Lightning are in third. Again, those 3 teams are far over every other team there in that division. And again, the third place team has an 11-point lead over the fourth place team. It's pretty much cemented. Those top 3 teams are making the playoffs. And again, the order might change a little bit. The West, another division to where, again, the top 3 have significantly more points there than who's going to squeak in there as the playoff bubble team in fourth place. And it's like that also in the North Division, Grumpy Old Man. What I'm saying here is this: there's
Toronto division. The Toronto division?
The Toronto division, yeah. Again, the Maple Leafs, Jets, Oilers all have 50-plus points, and the Canadians, who are sitting right there in fourth, don't have 50 points yet. So the East Division is unbelievably stacked and unbelievably competitive, and we've got a tough portion of our schedule upcoming. You got to make sure you take care of the Rangers. That's for certain.
Right. These next 6, you'll know if we're making playoffs in the next 6 games.
We're making playoffs. I want to say that. We're making playoffs. There's no we don't make playoffs.
Okay, if we lose 3 straight to the Rangers in regulation and get rolled by Washington, I don't see that happening. But I'm just saying this is where you'll know for certain. Okay, this is where we're going to fit in here. We're going to be a 4th seed, or we're going to be a 2 seed, or you will find out in the next 6 games.
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna magnify, the positions that we're in. I think it's gonna be close, and it's gonna be one of those items to where the last week of the season, we're gonna have no idea what the positions are for the division. I really think that's the case. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be contested all the way to the last bit. Brush King says, I'll take some of that Lou lemonade. It's definitely working. LOL.
Okay, good. I don't know I don't know Brush, but wow. Okay. It's a joke. I get it. Thank you.
No. He takes some of the lemonade there. Will S said, not worried, more concerned, hoping that this win sparks something under this team.
Yeah, I mean, we really, who thought I would ever say this? We really miss Bailey and Clutterbuck. I mean,
when you're rolling out there, Michael Del Cole and Leo Komarov instead of Josh Bailey and Cal Clutterbuck. I mean, those are significant downgrades. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean. I mean, you lost average up top. You've lost 3 guys, and essentially you've lost 1 line. And Palmieri so far looks lost. Zajac is what he is, and it just kind of is what it is. And then our guys just aren't good enough. So
Ross N says, grumpy old man, you are way over the line.
I don't know what line, but I'm sure I've gone way over the line.
Grumpy's over the top as always, and that's why I love it there. Matthew S says, Zajac can't be on the first line. Could somebody please give Barzy some help?
Well, Zajac was not on the first line today. He was on the 4th line, which is where he belongs. And Leo, who, was a human taxi squad guy, he's on the first line. I don't understand. You put guys who are, bottom feeders in the NHL, and I guess they just figure Barzal can turn them into serviceable NHL players. Of course, they can't keep up. Maybe Barry gave Leo the walking orders. Hey, we don't care about goals. Just make sure that you're the last line of defense back there behind the 2 defensemen, because that's where he played most of the night.
Will S says, TJ, hilarious how you always rip eyes on Isles. I like
eyes on Isles, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they're company cows too. They're afraid of offending anyone. TJ gets on me. Don't say this. Don't say that. Well, the Islanders aren't paying any of my bills. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. I mean, if they start paying me, maybe I consider it, but they're not paying me. I speak the truth.
I would love to have anybody. I'd like to also go ahead and probe the grumpy old man a little bit. I know he doesn't like the Isles on Isles. He thinks they're the
That's true. That's not true. I enjoy the Isles on Isles.
Yeah, you think they're the National Enquirer. You don't take them seriously though. So again, I get always a good little kick out of it.
No, I don't. But I read their stuff. I absolutely do. Like I said, most of it's wrong. Sometimes they're right. On players of the game or who played well. Barzal scored, 6 points, and I think he was 3rd star. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I think he was number 1. But, when I see them ripping Matt Barzal and putting him a loser because he took a penalty, I'm like, what? I mean, please. It tells me you don't have a mind, you don't have eyes, or you don't have a mind of your own to think on your own. Let's make sure that we appease our masters in the Islander front office. That's not me.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'll tell you, if I knew how to make a GIF, you're giving me a lot of GIF-worthy items where I could go ahead and plop there on any type of comment I have, Grumpy Old Man. You seem very animated tonight, even though, again, albeit it's, nearing 11 o'clock on a Sunday. What is it? Almost 11 o'clock on a Sunday Eastern Standard Time, Grumpy Old Man.
That's exactly the time.
Oh, goodness gracious. We're still scrolling through here. Robert W. says, do you think there's a rift between Trotz and Barzy?
You know what? I don't think so. The kid, you know what? I don't know, but it would piss me off. If I was Matt Barzal, I'd be pissed off. I'm like, maybe just because he's a kid and Trotz is like, an authority figure. But I'm going to tell you what, you're not going to see this happen when he turns 30 years old. You wouldn't see Trotz treating him like that, first of all. But, maybe he just has so much respect for Barry Trotz that he doesn't say anything. But if it was me, I'm like, dude, why am I the only guy that you rip to the press? And
well, this is something a lot of Islanders podcasts don't talk about. Paul Bissonnette talked about this immediately on Spittin' Chicklets. When Matt Barzal hadn't signed back his extension, he said, do not sign with the New York. Again, obviously I don't agree with this. He said, don't sign with the New York Islanders that play boring hockey. They don't go ahead and give you what you need. You get handcuffed there to the system. Again, so Paul Bissonnette's talked about it there before in the past. We're not the first people to talk about it. Well, we certainly won't be the last. But, a lot of the Islander podcasts don't necessarily talk about it. But it's always a point. I don't think there's a rift between Barry Trotz and Matt Barzal. I don't think that's the case. Maybe they don't love each other. Maybe they're not like, hey, we would love to room together. Let's go on vacation in the offseason or anything like that. But I don't think there's any issues they have.
I'm going to say it again. Gretzky could not play for this team. Bossy could not play for this team. If Barry Trotz was coach, those guys would be sitting on the bench because he wants everyone to be 200-foot hockey. I don't care that you score 100 goals a year. I don't care, Wayne Gretzky, if you could score 212 points in a season. I don't care. You're going to have to mark your man all the way back. I don't care. And you'd sit. That's just the way he is. And for Barzal, I've been talking about it for years. I'm like, you know what? I would not sign a contract. I'd make them move me. It's not, and that's why I asked the question earlier. If you're a guy with offensive talent, why would you come to the Islanders?
If you think you have a chance of winning the cup, which I think he has a chance there winning the cup here with the Islanders, I would. Some players like to play for a cup. Some players like to play for the enjoyment of the game, and some players like to trade for money. Play for money. I was one of those I'd like to play for money. I never was like, I cared about winning this. I cared about, money was king. Some players say, hey, I want to win the cup. They're at that point of the stage in their career where all that matters is winning a Stanley Cup. I understand it. And some players say, I want to have fun. I want to play with the guys who I like, I've built up connections with. And that's something they enjoy. There's really 3 different wants players always have. Either the money, winning the Stanley Cup, or having fun. Those usually are what drive.
I'm going to tell you what, Matt Barzal is a player that every team in the NHL would love to have. Because I'll tell you what, he's got balls. He's tough. He's not afraid to mix it up. He'll do whatever it takes to win. They're shackling him. Without a doubt. If they could, I'm surprised they haven't taken Eberle off his line and put Zajac and Komarov out there next to him. How'd you like to roll that line out there? And then, but here's the thing. You see, when you keep on, and just to get back to my previous point, when you hear Lou Lamoriello consistently for the last 2 years rip Matt Barzal, the only guy that he actually calls out by name is Matt Barzal. The only guy. He didn't do it. Mayfield shit the bed against Boston last week, and he still wouldn't mention him by name. Both goals were directors, and he described the plays accurately, but he wouldn't call Mayfield out by name. Why not? Why not? If you want to be fair, call him out in the press too. But no. All he does is feed Barzal. And then you got the minions, the cartel. As soon as Matt Barzal takes a penalty, their first question to Trotz is, what about, do you think it was selfish of Matt Barzal to take that penalty? And now you see them all writing about it because that's how you start that fake news. If you say it enough, that people just start repeating it. It's BS. It's BS.
Grumpy old man. Tell me how you really feel, Grump. Tell me how you really feel here tonight. Got another comment here from Tom White says, Trotz wants Barzy to play a 200-foot game. Some nights he doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? You can say that about anybody on the Islanders, honestly. You think everybody comes back every game? They don't. Because guess what? You think everyone comes back every period? They don't. Because if they did, you wouldn't see us playing horrible periods at a time. It's not one guy. One guy not doing it is not why we're in the situation we're in.
What a film says Mayfield sucks worse than Uncle Leo. Ooh, how about that, Grump? What do you think of that take? I mean, I know Mayfield struggled this year, but man, oh man, Uncle Leo. Ooh.
No. Sorry. Woulda, love you, baby, but no. Leo shouldn't even be on the ice.
Oh, goodness.
The only ice he should touch is the stuff he puts in his drink.
Oh, goodness. Angela Nina also says there, I think Palmieri isn't the scorer we really needed.
It's because they don't score. And like I said, losing teams have to have guys score, right? So New Jersey had Kyle Palmieri.
Okay, come on now. Kyle Palmieri has scored there in the past. It's
for loser teams. That's right. He's nondescript. First round draft pick for a guy like that. No, sorry. Ricky Rental. You know what I don't want to see? I don't want to see them trade Anthony Beauvillier and sign a piece of garbage like that back. That's what I don't want to see.
Well, here's an interesting question here. Yeah, well, I will answer that question first, or I will respond to that comment first. It really depends on how Palmieri plays. As of right now, you're not giving him any time to gel. I am giving him time to gel. Come on now. You got to go ahead and give him a chance there to get acclimated with the team, acclimated with his new line mates. I know you said he's a veteran. He's 29 years old. Come on now. Give him a little bit of time, grumpy old man. Come on, give me. Just like, hey, you got to give me a little bit of time in order to get everything worked on the show. You got to give Kyle Palmieri some time to get acclimated. Just like I told you, the calls weren't going to roll in and be beautiful the first time we did them. You see, though, you stick with it. You stick with the process. It works there long term. You got to give him a little bit of time. That being said, though, I like Anthony Beauvillier. I don't want to see us give up on a guy like Anthony Beauvillier. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
We've got another call coming in, grumpy old man.
Okay. Pick them up and put them on hold for a second. Because I do want to compare you to Kyle Palmieri.
Go ahead. Compare me to Kyle Palmieri. I'm sorry. We've got a caller here, but Grump, really quickly, compare me to Kyle Palmieri. Go ahead.
You're the one who compared yourself to Kyle Palmieri in the phone calls. I'm going to compare you to Kyle. He needs to get, used and acclimated to doing that before he can do his stuff. The way you read those ads every week, you've been doing it for how long? And you haven't been able to get one of them correct without bumbling through it. You are the Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri is just like you. You bumble an ad every single podcast, and Kyle Palmieri bumbles his chances on the ice.
I don't mind the truth hurts. The truth hurts. It stings, Grump. It stings. Thank you, Grump, for stinging me and burning me there. I'm sorry. You're here with TJ and the grumpy old man. Who do we have calling today? I'm sorry, we made you wait there for a second. You're here though with TJ and the grumpy old man.
It's Brandon Gaines, actually. That was actually quite a nice laugh that you just gave me.
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Doing well. Love the win. Love the fact that Sorokin committed grand larceny again against the Flyers. He morphs into John Swant whenever he plays the Flyers, kind of like when Georgiev plays against us.
Yeah.
So good to know that we kind of have a team's kryptonite in that.
Yeah, for
but
certain.
I do have a few questions though. So this has been really on my mind for at least the past 2 years now. And the main issue that's going to make or break this team come playoff time, in my opinion, is the success of the power play. And it's probably been an issue for the better part of this decade, even before Trotz took over. Speaking of Trotz, when he took over as the head coach, again, this was even prior to the Bears leaving, the Islander fan base, most of them were still begging for this team to grab a defenseman via free agency or trade because they gave up 296 goals. So the question was still, in some other fans, was the defense bad because of the players, or was it bad because they were badly coached? Now, the latter proved to be true because they gave up 100 less goals in Trotz's first year. So my question is with this power play, because I think, in my opinion, we have far more talent than the Los Angeles Kings, and they have a better success rate than us. Is our power play bad because of the players, or are they just poorly, stubbornly coached by Hiller?
So I'll answer this one here first. I was on board with the fact that it was poorly coached. And again, this was the first few years when Scott Gomez was the power play coach. I said, Scott Gomez struggled even scoring with the damn Devils back in the time period. Remember, they used to go ahead and pop up like, hey, it's been this many games since you scored a goal. You make this many $1 million per goal you score. And I figured, hey, maybe it's got something to do with Scott Gomez. And then Scott Gomez left, and then we integrated in with Hiller, and it still didn't get the job done. I'm not sure we have more. Sure, maybe we have more talent, but for example, our inability to switch things up on a power play for such a long time period, hurts us. I mean, how long was it until we realized that Ryan Pulock could not be the trigger man? We rolled him out in that position for over 20 games. And I mean, he didn't score his first goal until 40 plus games throughout the season. And I mean, like the inability to adapt when we're struggling sometimes, where it's like, hey, we're going to keep going out with what we think should work is the issue. I mean, like I mentioned earlier there on the podcast, I'm not sure if you're listening at that time period, Brandon, but since March, over that 24 game time period, the Islanders have been 6 for 63 on the power play with a 9.5% conversion rate. It's been woeful. I'm just not sure it's the coaches. I think it has to be the cast and crew.
And
Well, here's another fun fact actually regarding bad power play systems. The Toronto Maple Leafs have a better forward cast than this team. They are 2 for 45 on the power play so far. They are 2 for their last 45 on the power play. They have been brutal. Every time the power play comes up, I see it all over Twitter. They groan about it because they know they're not going to score. And it's the same thing with us. But they don't like it. They want their power play coach gone too. And they warned us when we hired Hiller that they go, yeah, they were good, but Hiller can be very, very stubborn. Like, I'm just wondering, is this a result of Hiller's stubbornness to adapt the system? Because you're not seeing crisp passing with the team. They're still very, very passive. The only time they really shoot is like outside the slot area. There's lack of anything high danger for this team at all. And the one thing that Trotz always talked about prior to his first year of coaching with this team was maximizing high danger chances. They're not even getting any though on the power play. Nothing.
Grump, I'll let you take that.
yeah, my stance has always been it's the players and it's the pace of play. Now it could be that Hiller wants them just playing around with the puck, but there are times if we move the puck the key to success on a power play is quick puck movement, side to side, back foot, getting guys out of position. We don't do that. I don't think we have the right guy at the point. I don't think we have the right guys along the boards. When you have a majority of the players who are on the power play who just refuse to shoot the puck, it is really, really easy to defend. And I'm talking about Bailey and Leddy on the same power play. They won't shoot the puck. And the same thing with Ryan Pulak. How often does he – I don't think they want their guys shooting from the point for the most part. It's just frustrating to watch. And, just the stubbornness by having Pulak earlier in the season in the trigger position, it's like, it's just not going to work. And I do feel if we had better talent, offensive talent, our success would be higher. That's why Washington was a success on their power play when Trotz was there, is they had real talent who could move the puck. We do not move the puck well on our power play.
And you also mentioned too, Brandon, you talked about, hey, the people, the Maple Leafs fans, hey, we can't score goals on the power play. It's interesting. I think the same exact or sort of similar situation happened with the Nashville Predators a few years ago where they were scoring a boatload of goals on 5-on-5 hockey, shorthanded goals, and they couldn't go ahead and execute there on the power play. So you see occasionally, again, it doesn't always happen, but you see occasionally these teams that are dominant scoring, massive amounts of goals. I mean, through the season right now, Maple Leafs got 147 goals. I mean, like they're not rewriting record books, but I mean, they lead the division in goals scored. So they're definitely, not struggling to put the puck in the net. You always wonder if that does somehow affect those power plays there for teams. And sometimes they just run better when it's 5-on-5.
Yeah. And I'll add
it's just, I'm sorry. Go on.
I'll just add one more thing real quick. Toronto scores a boatload of goals 5-on-5. So, I mean, I think come playoff time, they're going to need to get better on the power play. But when you can score like they do on 5-on-5, it kind of mitigates what you can't do on the power play. And that's because of the talent that they have.
Yeah, it would just be nice, like if the Islanders can hire, like make a competent hire in that department. Because who we've had Doug Waite, we've had Scott Gomez, and now we have a guy who the Maple Leaf fans warned was going to be stubborn and coaching our power play. We just can't get that one hire right. Like we finally got the head coaching hire right. It only took us 23 years later, but it's just so frustrating because this team, at least I feel like, I know Grumpy Old Man has a different feeling of this team. I feel like this team is very, very close, even without Anders Lee. Because, yes, they're in a slump right now. Most teams go through slumps like this. Tampa has lost quite a bit to Detroit and Nashville. Like, every team goes through it. It happens. But I just feel like the power play, the success of the power play is going to make or break this team come playoff time. It really is. And if the power play can't get itself going,
then yeah, they're probably not going to get past the Bruins in the division.
I agree. I mean, we've got to redirect there on the power play, Grump. Anything else you have there for Brandon before we go ahead and disconnect and get back to comments and open up the line again, Grump?
Yeah, just one last thing. One thing early in the year when Dobson was at the top of that power play and they were letting him shoot, and because he had uncanny ability, put the puck on net, generated a lot of chances for us. And if your guy doesn't shoot from the point, like I said, it's easy to defend. The same thing with Bailey on the side. It's like if you're not willing to shoot the puck, you're easy to defend. The guys just slough off, and I see it all the time with them.
Well, we bounced back and had that good time period right after we went on that COVID protocol break there, Grumpy Old Man and Brandon. And then it's like it tapered off there in March. And it's like, okay, we've been in this lull for, what's going to be, a month and a half at least now. And we need to course direct on that. We need to switch something up on the power play. We've got to go ahead and get some offensive chances going because we don't look all that dangerous on the power play either.
True.
Yeah, we look powerless on our power play. It's been out. We've been completely powerless, and it's just frustrating. It just really, really is. Like when you see lesser talented teams make better crisp passes to force the PK out of their zone, and we just don't do that. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah. I do understand that. Well, thank you, Brandon, for calling in. I do appreciate it. I know you've been wanting to call in for a while. Thanks, Brandon, for calling in. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Grumpy Old Man. Back to comments here. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Michael M., I know he's called in on earlier. He said the blame on Barzal tonight was usual. He had a few turnovers. The boohoo guy carries the team.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Sometimes, like I said, I think he's just trying to do too much with the lack of talent around him, honestly. I don't think you can ever say the kid doesn't care. I don't think you can say that. You could say, can get frustrated, which he certainly can. And I understand that. When the referees let stuff go against him and they don't call anything, he's certainly not one of the sacred cows in this league. That's without a doubt. And, that's pretty obvious. And sometimes he gets a little bit upset. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
That's one thing. He does get frustrated way too easy. And again, sometimes rightfully so. I mean, you saw the Bruins game most recently on Friday. They don't call a penalty for him, and he's got blood coming off his cheek there because he got hit with a high stick. No call there in his favor, and you're just kind of like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like if I was consistently getting mugged out there on the ice by opposing teams, I understand the frustration. But to take another route, it's better to be a martyr out there on the ice where you're just pointing to it like, what the hell are you guys missing? What are you looking at? Again, I know players don't come out there and go ahead, and speak too much to the media. It's one of the sports, again, like they don't do that in football. They don't do that in hockey. One of the rare sports they do that in soccer. But I mean, like, man, oh man, you just got to hate it. You got to hate it there where he's getting mugged and they're not calling anything in his favor.
But why? I mean, why does it happen? Because every team knows this is the guy that we have to make sure we take care of. We don't have to worry about anybody else on that team to beat us. Nobody else. We stop this guy, our chances of winning and are going up, incrementally, without a doubt. So what do? They're going to take extra shots on him. They're going to make sure to watch it. 2 or 3 guys going at him, and everybody. Leo Connor's not even in the zone, so he's a tough guy to feed when he's playing 30 foot back. And Eberle's off there on the wing, and the kid's got to do it all himself. I mean, I understand where he's frustrated. I just don't like the fact that Barry feels it's, for him, it's okay to rip him, but not other players. That's the problem. That's a double standard I don't like. Paul
W says they're 8 points ahead of the Rangers. Yeah, thank goodness. And again, I don't think we're going to miss the playoffs by any stretch, even if we were to go through a little bit of a rough patch here. Coach Tommy B says, I still want the goal horn for the phone ring, guys. Oh, man, I'll tell you. I do need to go ahead and get that. I thought I had worked it out to where we wouldn't have it ringing there on the podcast for you, Grump, but I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board. I had to elicit Paige's help. But I probably messed it up in some capacity. She tried to walk me through it, but, I'm tech-tarded with this type of stuff.
Looks like she was more busy trying to pick on the Grumpy Old Man singing abilities as opposed to taking care of that for us.
Oh, goodness gracious. We've got our boy, Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer with the interesting question. He comes always forward with some unbelievable questions here. Jerry Springer says, still banned. He can't comment, but have you guys ever noticed Barry Trotz's intense wiggling eyebrows? They're so intense and intimidating. Yeah, I see him out. Like, it's almost like when he gets angry, he's like they're like twitching over there. He's very animated. It's one thing I do not like about the mask, particularly for that, is because like when you see occasionally his facial reactions change, they're gold. I love that when I get to see that for Barry Trotz. But trust me, we can all tell by the eyebrows what the mouth and the rest of the facial depiction looks like.
Do you ever wonder why when guys get old, your eyebrows, why do they don't trim those down a little bit? Like, you ever see like those older guys and they got like eyebrows out to here? I'm like, dude, do you not look at yourself in the mirror every day? When I get my hair cut, they go, oh, would you like me to trim your eyebrows? Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't want that. I don't want to have eyebrows up my forehead where I can comb my hair all the way back like that.
When you said that, all I could think about, who is that actor from American Pie? He's got those really thick eyebrows.
Eugene Levy, but I'm going to guarantee you he trims them up. I'm going to guarantee you he trims them up, because if he didn't, I mean, they'd be unruly. There was an old sports writer named Frank DeFord, and he used to be on, Brian Gumball. He does a thing on HBO. I forget what the name of the show, but Frank DeFord would be on this. And, it's like, he was a little bit older, but I'm like, dude, you're on television. Trim your hair and trim those damn eyebrows. I mean, you're on television. You're supposed to, pretend that you want to look presentable, not like some guy who's, hey, get off my lawn. You don't want to.
Speaking about those eyebrows are voluptuous, grumpy old man. Man, oh man.
Voluptuous isn't even a word.
Voluptuous is a word.
No, voluptuous is not a word. Voluptuous is a word.
Oh, you're picking on how I'm pronouncing it. Sorry, I pronounced it incorrectly for you.
If you're going to use a big word, first of all, and they're not voluptuous either, maybe you should know the definition.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I would say that they're bountiful or plentiful. There's a lot of them there.
Oh, now we're really cutting razor thin hairs over here. Come on, Grump.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pull that up there for people who didn't know the reference there, so that we were able to see it. Nick D says there, I agree, Grumpy. Palmieri should be on the first line.
At least give him a shot. I mean, at least try it. I mean, you're going to continue to roll out this experiment that's not working. I don't understand it. Isn't that why you traded for him, was to get secondary, to improve your first line scoring? Isn't that why you dealt for him to begin with? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was, I don't know what the reason was. Otherwise, you're trying to replace Anders Lee, right? Well, why don't you do that? At least give him a shot. Give him a game. Just try. I mean, try something. Stop rolling out the same cast of characters and just, Matt Barzell, I don't care about you or that line. We'll just throw some jag out there. It'll be what it'll be.
Oh, my goodness. Grumpy old man. I have something to show you. But I've got to tell you, and I want to give David credit. He says, Islanders Twitter has named Leo Komarov the third star there for tonight. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way that could be true.
What a joke.
Here it is.
Joke.
Leo Komarov. Third star there for tonight's game.
What a joke. Who was second star?
Nicoletti.
Nicoletti. The guy who almost got Barzell killed? That guy?
Okay. The guy who threw the puck and it got redirected in off the Philadelphia Flyers.
Oh, that's right. That's why. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I forgot.
So that's why. Even though it was a goal credited to him, wasn't really a goal.
You want to know who would score that goal if it wasn't Nicoletti? Josh Bailey. That's a Josh Bailey special right there.
I knew you were going to say Josh Bailey. I like Coach Tommy B's comment. Sorokin should have been all 3 stars there for tonight.
Very true.
I was about to say, maybe give Brian Elliott there a 3rd star as a consolation if you're going to give Sorokin their 1st and 2nd stars.
I didn't think Elliott had to do anything fantastic today. I didn't. I didn't think he made any great saves. I said we weren't even a threat to score tonight. Once we went to overtime, though, and if we went shootout, I knew we were winning because Sorokin's really, really good in shootout.
And then Tommy B also says, TJ and Grumpy old man, that waffle save there by Sorokin made tonight to save a goal from behind without the goal stick diving. What a save. It was a Hasek-esque type of moment.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Hasek with that flexibility and that agility and athletic ability back there, without a doubt.
I was about to say now, Dominic Hasek, he was my favorite goalie growing up. Man, oh man, could that guy play? If we could even have Sorokin was even mentioned in the same breath as Dominic Hasek, Islander fans have something to be excited about for years to come.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. We have our goaltender of the future. So that was a good move by Lou. Like I said, I call him as I see him. Good move, bad move. You make a good move, I'm going to tell you. You make a bad move, I'm going to tell you too.
Well, David C says possible that Butch should take a stint in Betty Ford. I don't know what this means, Grump. I assume this is something you know, Grumpy. This is a reference I hope you understand.
Yeah, oh my God, TJ. And I hate having to explain everything to you because it was actually pretty good. It's like saying that Butch is an alcoholic. I can see by that.
I figured I had to do something with alcohol. I just wasn't sure that, hey, you should take a stint in Betty Ford. I didn't know what that meant.
Do you know who Betty Ford was?
No, I don't know. Okay. I can tell you.
She was wife of former President Gerald Ford.
Okay.
And she had the Betty Ford Clinic, is where a lot of celebrity types go for rehabilitation, for alcohol and drug rehabilitation. So that's the Betty Ford Clinic. So
oh, goodness. Okay.
I don't think that's the case. I'm not going to, here's the thing, I'm going to pick on Butch for certain things, but I'm not going to pick on for that.
Oh, goodness gracious. Nicky also said if the Islanders don't pick up the pace, do you think the Islanders will make the playoffs considering Boston, the Rangers, Pittsburgh are picking up their game?
I thought today was really, really big, getting those 2 points against Philadelphia. Puts us 8 up on the Rangers with a game in hand. I think we should be able to weather that storm. Like I said, the next 6 games are going to tell us, though. If we lose all 3 to the Rangers and 2 out of 3 to Washington, we'll be in trouble. But I don't see that happening. I just think we have too big a lead on the Rangers. I could see us slip to 4th place in the standings, though. I really could.
Well, you said we actually the Rangers and the Islanders have played the same exact amount of games, just to let you know they're grumpy old man. But again, I think we've got way too large of a lead. There's no way we're not going to make the playoffs. Again, this is just a lull here. I'm not too worried about that. They're grumpy old man. Grumpy. It's about 2 hours. I know we're finishing up and wrapping up here. The rest, grumpy old man, of the comments. We're trying to get through them. There's a lot of comments, but we're trying to get to all the comments, grumpy old man. I want to know your prediction, though, because I know we've been missing out. I haven't been getting you the prediction. I want to get you the prediction because usually we go too long. But I want to get your prediction, Grumpy Old Man. What do you think the Islanders and how they will fare against the Rangers this Tuesday?
I'm interested to see who he's going to play in goal. I think that's key. To me, I'm riding the hot hand from here on out. And I'd go with Sorokin. I think if Sorokin's in there, we win. If it's Varlamov, I don't know. Is it a home game or is it a road game?
It's grumpy old man. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think it is it's a home game.
I'm going to say we're going to win.
I mean, we're the best team at home. So it wouldn't shock me at all there, grumpy old man, if we did pull the W.
And that's important. It's important. I think we've had 3, I would consider lackluster games in a row for the most part. I have to think, we're going to have another day off. I have to think we're going to come out better against the Rangers. Have to.
We're going against College Quinn. We've got to come out better against the Rangers, right, Grump?
Yeah,
Well, if Georgiev's in net, man, that's like the Islanders' kryptonite.
Yeah, and the Rangers are the type of team. I don't think they're good enough defensively, honestly. But they're the type of team with that aggressive, hard skating, fast forward group that gives us problems. They just are. We better beat them now because in a couple of years we won't be beating them.
Damn, Grump. Come on.
They're young. The whole team is young.
Go ahead and put us into that place. Maybe they'll go ahead and mismanage assets so miserably they're going to be like the Edmonton Oilers for years.
Well, we can hope. But they got talent on that team. They're talented.
Yeah. So
I don't think they're better than us. I think we're more disciplined than they are, for certain. But I think they're more talented, top to bottom, than we are, particularly on offense.
I'm going to disagree with you right now. Maybe in a few years, for certain. I think cast and crew. We've always talked about it. The Islanders are a team where the sum is better. The sum is better than the parts, and that's how we're always going to be here with Barry Trotz. It's just what we're going to do. So. You could say, yeah, sure, they might have more individual talent. It doesn't matter. All that matters is the result on the ice, and all that matters is a win or a loss. So But moving right along there to comments there, Michael M says, "Love you both. Thanks there for the Islanders, for the most honest Islanders podcast out there. We do appreciate that there, Michael. There,
I think that's what people want. They want honesty. They just don't want company speak, right? I mean, just don't tell us what the team wants us to. Just be honest with people. I just think that's so important."
David C says, "TJ, another saying I came up with is that is Bo a staple of the show? College Quinn credit." Did he come up with College Quinn, Grumpy, or did you say that?
I don't know if I called him College Quinn. I think I called him Joe College or Johnny Rah Rah, something like that.
Johnny Rah Rah. Yeah, David C with another one. Yeah, we got to go ahead and give David C their credit. He got the fire hydrant. He's got their College Quinn. Yeah, that's right. He's got the three amigos. He's come up with a lot there, Grump. That's all.
He's got a lot of stuff. I like him.
Tommy B also says, "I'm pissed off Mayfield did not get benched tonight." You and everybody else there, Coach Tommy B, was shocked.
Well, that's my whole thing. You bench Dobson, and Dobson hasn't been as good since COVID. Yeah, but he's not been the worst defenseman. It's been Mayfield, and by a lot. I mean, it's not even like it was a lefty for lefty thing, because Mayfield plays the right defense also. They took him, they moved. I always find it interesting when they move certain guys to their off position. Like last year when Johnny was playing with Noah Dobson. Noah Dobson had to play, as the young guy, had to play the off position. I'm like, would the veteran shouldn't the veteran play the off position and let the younger player play where he's more comfortable? I never understood that.
I mean, I told you why. It's because Johnny was so limited. We've discussed that. I mean, he was so limited.
But but my whole thing is, if the other kid has to cover for you anyway, wouldn't it be better if he's covering from where he's more natural? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's all water under the bridge now, but hey.
What if Films, a grumpy old man, wants to let me know you have got to start reading the comments, Grump. So I guess I'm just going to start plopping up some comments. I'll let you read in there if you want to read a few there. Vancouver Isles Sports Talk says, "Love the show there." That's there we go. Grumpy old man plopping it up there for you.
Hey, I love Vancouver too. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. Just beautiful.
Saint there says, "Grump will let you read it there."
No, I can rapid fire this. No.
Do you think Zajac and Palmieri make us a better team than Tampa? Oh no, I didn't actually.
No, that's not true. I bet you we're probably better than the Tampa Bay Rays. We're probably better than them. Not better than the Buccaneers, but maybe the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, I don't think we're better than the Tampa Bay Lightning at the moment.
No.
We've still got a long way to go there when it comes to getting the power play in their sorts and getting the offensive continuity.
They're the best team in the league. I don't care where they are in the standings. It's just they remind me of the Islanders of the 80s. I'll be interested to see how the playoffs go. If they win the cup this year, watch out. Watch out.
Vancouver Isles Sports Talk also says the most critical points are the Rangers for sure. Squeeze at least 2 to 3 points to the Cap series. As long as you get the Rangers game or one, the New York Islanders, that's fine.
That's 100% correct.
I was about to say, again, we're not going to see the Islanders rattle off, every single game where they're winning, 3 out of 4 games. It's just unrealistic to expect there as fans. We're playing we've talked about this. Even if you click the podcast back 10, 15 games ago, this portion was the meat and the potatoes portion of our schedule. And I told you, if we come out with a winning record or, even, the higher winning record is better, we will be in good shape. And sure enough, we did. We went ahead and went through the meat and potatoes portion, even though the play hasn't looked good as of yet. You have to hope they're able to get a little bit of click back there on the offensive side of the puck, and they're able to sort out these issues on the power play. Long term, we have to sort the issues on the power play.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to withhold judgment. I want us to play better and have better continual effort throughout a game. I think that's even more important than the power play right now. I mean, we're coming out flat in periods. I don't understand it.
Brian B says, Leo cannot play on the top line. Check, please.
He was third star tonight, according to the Islanders media. Boy, tell us we're not trying to push a narrative there, right?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Leo Komarov for president, grumpy old man. I'm ready to throw him a parade.
President, yeah, okay.
President Lollipop.
Grumpy old man fan club.
President Lollipop, front and center. Tommy Baffy also says, Coach Tommy Baffy says, Josh Bailey sees the ice in the game well, a lot better than others do. For certain.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Yes, without a doubt. Everybody knows I rip on Josh Bailey, but he does. He's just not a great hockey player. He's going to make a really good coach someday. There's a Pee Wee team.
I'll tell you, no. It's not always how well you see it. He might make a good positional coach, or I'm telling you one thing though, a head coach is a completely different beast. Yeah, you have to have a totally different mentality there to it. Coaching is completely different than playing.
I'm just saying there's a good Pee Wee team out there that could use Josh Bailey as a coach.
Oh, stop. I was about to say.
You didn't let me finish my joke before you jumped in.
What can I say? Took your comment at face value, Grump. That was number one for me.
All kidding aside, Josh Bailey does see the ice well. He just isn't good enough to make use of that vision. He's a safe player. He's exactly what Barry Trotz wants. A safe player. You know what you're going to get from Josh Bailey. No production, but he's always going to, for the most part, make the right play and stuff like that. And that's valuable, to a certain aspect, but not to a team that needs scoring desperately.
Ross N there says, Grump, is the root cause a lack of investment in scouting and development, or development in the minor league? Or maybe you meant to say, or development in the minor league.
I don't know how the scouting staff works. Do they say, okay?
I think scouting staff, every team is you can't have just like an unlimited amount of scouts. From my understanding, there's a certain cap on how many scouts you can have, and you have to stay underneath the salary cap. Like there's certain salary caps, from my understanding, for the players as well as for what you can have under staff. So, for example, there's only so much you can have. It's not like you could say, we're going to hire every single scout in the world.
What
limited in that capacity?
What concerns me is the type of people that they're drafting. Is it something where the general manager is saying, okay, because I believe they're mostly the same scouts who were there under Garth Snow's regime. And we were able to get the Matt Barzals, and players of that ilk. But you're wondering, are they saying now, okay, since Barry Trotz is coach, we're looking for this type of player. And maybe that's why they drafted a Casper over guys who were infinitely more talented. They say, well, this Casper here fits our style of, just being I'm going to joke, say perimeter player, but a guy who plays a safe game, who's, up and down, plays a 200-foot game. Is that what they say? And they say that's what the edict that the scouts are, so they rate those guys higher? I don't know. But, I think that
they do when they say, hey, we're looking for guys like X, Y, Z. You also tell them on certain scout assignments, you say, hey, we're looking for guys that could do like this. We're looking for guys that have this certain trait. We're looking for guys that do this. This is, paramount. As much as we like this, we're looking for guys that also have this caveat on top.
See, I'm a big believer in best player available because you can make it work if you have the most talent, or you could move that for something else. If you see somebody developing and he becomes a valuable asset, maybe you can move him to get the type of player you want. But when you're if I'm not saying they are, but if they're saying, okay, this is the type of player we want, so we're not looking at the Tomasinos or the Kalievs, who are mostly one-dimensional players. If we're not even really looking at them, well, to me, that's a mistake in your scouting department.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You've made such a bullish position on that. You better hope and pray that Kaliev, McMichael, and Tomasino pan out, and that Holmstrom is not a world beater. That's all I'm going to say, grumpy old man. Because if you're right, hell, you've got it. You've said this before you said this before they drafted Simon Holmstrom. Those are the guys you're interested in. We'll be able to tick the clock back all the way back to yesteryear when we used to podcast and only release it on SoundCloud, and we had no live stream options or anything like that. We'll be able to tick the clock back way back in the time machine, grumpy old man. I'll make sure to pull some of that there for us.
It's the same thing with the Lundkrantz. I realize he was a third-round pick, but you're picking a guy who's just a grinder. That's his game, is a grinder. If you're picking...
It offset it with guys like picking William DeFore and Alex Jeffries that year. So come on now. Go ahead. Play honest and fair.
But I'm saying if you're picking your first pick in the third round, you shouldn't be looking for a guy who's a bottom six player. Shoot for the moon. It's not like everything's a crapshoot from that period on. You don't know. But you're picking a guy whose talent is that he can play the bottom six. And then, I mean, I just don't understand that mentality. I'm always going for the most talented player available. And then you, as a coach, should be able to you don't try to change the player, you alter your system to fit what the player does. And if your system is so rigid that you only want a certain type of player, I feel that's a mistake.
Gotcha, Grump. We're moving right along because we got to go ahead and get through these comments before we end it. We're at about 2 hours and 20 minutes, so we're going to keep on rapid fire. Does Grumpy ever smile from Angela?
I smile a lot, Angela. You couldn't believe how much I smile. The only time I'm grumpy is when I have to talk about the Islanders. And I will say it's part of my persona also.
I was about to say, we're all wearing our Islanders gear today, Grumpy Old Man. So
I
sometimes
deliberately
you
put it
have
on.
wearing Islanders, we're all wearing our Islanders stuff today in our Islanders garb.
I'm going to try my best to wear Islanders gear as often as I don't have a whole lot, but I'll try to.
Tommy B says, Coach Tommy Baffy says, my gut is the Islanders will play Varlamov on Tuesday night. And then David C also follows up there. Who do you play in net Tuesday, Grumpy Old Man and TJ?
To me, I ride Sorokin. That's what I would do. But Barry likes the vets. You know, he made no bones about it.
I look at it like this. If Shesterkin's in net, I'm playing Sorokin no matter what. I mean, it's stupid for Coach Johnny Rara, College Quinn, to play Shesterkin because Georgiev owns us.
Georgiev owns us. I don't know why he'd ever
trying to outsmart themselves is what it seems like. That being said, if Shesterkin's in that, there's no way Sorokin shouldn't be in that. And if it's Georgiev, whatever. I would probably ride the hot hand, but we're probably going to go back to Varlamov if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, he went to college. He's smarter than all of us.
Coach Johnny Rara.
Coach Quinn.
College Quinn. Anyway, scrolling through there, Angela also says, shaking my head every game. Bellows explodes for goals. Find a place for him in the lineup.
He doesn't play, I guess, a consistent enough game, a 200-foot game. We don't care if he scores goals. Doesn't matter. Here's the thing. The only reason he played more than a couple of games is because he was scoring goals. As soon as he stopped scoring goals for a game or two, right down you go.
Game or two was one game. Because remember, first game on the scene after Lee went out had 2 goals. Next game had 1 goal. Then he went out there. He scored 0 goals. And he went back to the bench. Do you remember, Islander fans? I hate to bring a call back and bring this back up. When everybody was saying how infallible Barry Trotz was, that this was the plan all along, to go ahead and shell him out there to the media and say he wasn't doing enough, he wasn't offering enough, and this was just all part of his elaborate plan because he wanted to go ahead and spark a fire underneath Kiefer Bellows' ass. How is that plan looking now?
It's a lie.
Not looking like a plan. It's just looking like something that just happened to become fortuitous, and Trotz is able to take advantage of. I just love it, man. Fans are going to find a way to support whoever they want to support.
Okay. But, here's the thing with Islander fans, and I love the Islander fans. I'm an Islander fan, right? But when you're bad for so long that when some things finally start turning around, you're going to believe, in Barry and Lou we trust because we're getting results. Well, they're not infallible. See, that's the whole thing. They're not perfect. If they were perfect, they'd win the Stanley Cup every single year, but they don't. The vast majority of years, they don't. And I'll say one thing about Trotz, right? Why did Washington not want him back after he won a Stanley Cup? They didn't want him back.
You've gone over this. It was too much money. Anyway, we're not going to this, Grump. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes of the podcast. I don't have another 20 minutes to debate that.
It was a rhetorical question.
Good. Brian B says, what if you're a free agent and your wife likes your scruff? Why would you sign here?
You know what? Some guys like their beards.
Kyle Palmieri looks completely different without a beard. I mean, obviously I've grown accustomed to him now, but geez, you want to talk about a night and day change for Kyle Palmieri. John, go ahead, Grump.
Yeah, he used to score when he was with New Jersey.
Oh, that was cheap. That was a Lobo, grumpy old man. John P says, would Lou have ever drafted Mike Bossy?
Never. Not with the Islanders, he wouldn't have. If he was with Toronto, he might have, but not with the Islanders. Nope. That's not what we're looking. We don't want to score.
Oh.
Like Al, the greatest coach in Islander history ever said, I can teach him how to play defense. When he doesn't play much defense. I can't teach guys how to score goals.
And Wood of Films also says there, hey, boys, I love you. I'm from St. Thomas, Ontario, home of the Jumbo, the Elephant Inn, Joe Thornton.
Boy, Jumbo the Elephant, man, that's way, way, way back.
I was about to say, who the hell is Jumbo the Elephant, Grump?
Oh, man, he was a huge elephant back in the early 1900s. It was a circus attraction, Jumbo the Elephant, man. And Joe Thornton was pretty darn good, too.
Oh,
Maybe that's where you got the name Jumbo Joe Thornton from.
They've got statues for Jumbo the Elephant.
Yeah, huge elephant.
I was about to say, I'm learning something here. And then Frank K says their first song I learned on guitar was Train Keep a Rollin'.
Train kept a rolling, not keep a rolling.
Sorry, Grump, it's late. Cut me a freaking break. Come on, Grump.
All you have to do is read it as it's written. Train kept a rolling.
You got this comment now, Grump.
I love Puff the Magic Dragon.
No, you have to read the comments. You don't just respond to them. You read
Frank
them.
James to Puff the Magic Dragon when no one's watching. Puff the Magic Dragon lives by the sea. I forget a lot of the rest. The Autumn Mist and what was a homily. I mean, yeah, it was good. Actually, the movie Meet the Parents talks about Puff and the Magic Dragon.
Anyway, Grump. Tommy B also says, Coach Tommy Baffy says Tuesday I'd put Dobson back in for Colburn, and Thursday and Saturday I play Colburn and sit Mayfield and Green each one game. Now's the time to get your defensemen healthy, to get their legs underneath them where they're ready to go for a playoff push.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't impressed with Colburn. I thought he was caught out of position numerous times today, which concerned me a little bit. But if the plan is to give him a number of games and sit these guys, I'm for it.
Gotcha, grumpy old man. Daniel D also says, at least Hickey doesn't whiff and clear in the zone. He's talking about Scott Mayfield there. Oof.
Hickey sucks. I'm sorry. Mayfield's still better than Hickey. Hickey. Ugh. I never seen a guy go into the corner and lose a puck every time with Hickey. I never seen a guy get bullied in front of the net like Hickey.
You haven't been watching Scott Mayfield's play close enough here this season, Grumpy, then.
Yeah, Hickey sucks. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Good story, not a good player.
John P. says Aerosmith.
He had a great album.
In 1995, made me a Smith
album. Great album. Aerosmith, by the way, TJ. It's Aerosmith.
As I said Aerosmith.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Oh, goodness gracious, Grumpy. We're not going to be able to get through all the comments here, but we are still rolling on through. Tom White says there, that's all we got, Grumpy old man. Are you going to magically make some legit D-men appear out of a puff of smoke?
I don't know what question he's talking about.
He was talking about there to rolling Hickey out there on the ice, as well as Colburn there to force more competition for Andy Green, Scott Mayfield.
The competition should come from younger players. That's where it should come from, not older guys who can't produce. Now, this year they're not going to, but I mean, going into camp next year, why not give the younger guys like the Bullducks, who I think has really stepped up, why not give him a legitimate chance to make the team out of training camp? I'm going to tell you, they won't do it because they don't want to play any of the younger players. If you give that kid a shot, give these kids a shot. I mean, it's just the younger that they play and become legitimate NHL players, the better off you are in the long run. And you'll find out right away if they're good enough or not.
Oh, goodness gracious, man. We're about at 2 hours and 30 minutes, Grump. I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to get to all the comments here today.
We'll only get to the ones that make me look good.
What are you talking about, Grump? Come on now. I try to show them fairly. When people try to grill you, when people give you comments, I throw both out there for you.
I don't care.
Goodness, Grump.
We'll pick some good ones. If we hadn't have to listen to you give us some type of stats on some ridiculous thing, we could have got through the comments.
Oh, goodness gracious, Grumpy old man. It's late. It's now 11:46. Is there anything you want to say?
No, I'm going to have a new thing I say at the end of every podcast. It is true.
What are you going to say?
Love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even the ones who don't, from the Grumpy Old Man and TJ.
What the hell is this? Are you getting more friendly, Grumpy? What is this?
I just want to say that to let everyone know that we care about them.
Love and laughter, everybody who listens. Can you say that again, Grumpy? I just want to make sure. I was just shocked. The original words that came in your mouth. Say it one more time for us.
Love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even who doesn't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
It sounds like you're writing a Hallmark.
What can I tell you? I could do that too.
Well, there you go. Love and laughter for everybody who listens. And everyone who doesn't listen to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
No, and even those who don't, there's a pause. Forget it. See, you ruined it. You ruined it as usual.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man. I appreciate you being a part of the podcast as always. I do.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everybody who listened here and tuned in there to the live stream and the podcast again. Grumpy Old Man, and I love when we get to participate with people who want to call into the show, want to comment there, and have their comments read there. Even they want to test their dukes of knowledge with the Grumpy Old Man. They want to comment about some misery they have with the Islanders, whether they've noticed an issue or not. So we do love anytime we get that participation there from you guys. We love being able to talk hockey with you guys and Islanders hockey. Thank you, Grumpy Old Man, as always.
My pleasure as always.